It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. Some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but soon they will realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wants to hear from Sandra. Every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
My name is Williamson Henson. I'm from 13 Caicos. I just completed my hip surgery in Health City through National Health Insurance Board. I had a dirt bike accident. I hit really hard. I lost some teeth, some metal in my hands. I had metal on my right hand as well, on my left hand. Glass still remains on my knees, and I broke my socket bone, my hip bone. I broke the whole socket bone. And National Health Insurance Board gave me a call on my birthday. It made me cry, but I tried to hold my composure. It made me cry because I was waiting for 10 months. It was on a Wednesday, my birthday, and they say this Monday coming, you're going to Cayman Island to have a hip replacement surgery.
When Mr. Williamson came to us, he had a 10-month-old fracture which was operated at some other place, where he got a fragmented acetabulum which was into almost 4 to 5 parts, and his hip was out of his place. Also along with that, his right leg was shorter than left one by 2.5 inches, and he has a tremendous pain and was not able to walk and stand on that leg as well.
The first surgery affected my lifestyle because certain things I could not do for myself. It was all about crutches.
We removed the implant, cleared all the tissue, we put a new socket for there, and then the hip was replaced. And also we corrected the shortening, which was almost 2.5 inches, which came back to normal.
And he actually told me hip replacements in Cayman Island, you're gonna walk the same few hours. And what made me real happy is He said it and it was done for real. I started walking like literally in 23 hours.
Yeah, it's like a complex primary revision replacement. You can see that where you need to have some implants which are really advanced in the world, which we have at Health City. We have a dual mobility cup, which is a state-of-art, newer type of an implant, which is going to be making your hip absolutely stable, more durable, and has to function absolutely like a normal person.
I'll say a big thank you, first of all, to NIB and Health City caseworker and the host from Health City for communicating and well taking care of me behind my back. It was like every time I think about something, they already on it. It was my birthday. I was quite happy because I was waiting on the call to get the surgery done. But I'm happy now, it's done. I can walk. I just can't wait to get back to the kids and be like, oh, look at them. Thank you, Health City, for restarting my life with my hip replacement surgery.
Greetings, K-Man. I want to talk to you today about something that has affected our country for decades. The tension between how we build and how we nurture our environment. For too long, this tension that has led to delays, legal battles, and mistrust. The NCFC government does not accept that we have to choose between a thriving economy and a beautiful natural environment. We can have both. That's the whole premise behind a new initiative called K-Man Forward. The status quo isn't working for anyone. Not for those who build, not for those who protect. So this time, we chose to try something different. Over the past 3 months, government and private sector representatives took part in a structured dialogue process, guided by independent policy consultants. It included stakeholder consultation and a full-day summit, producing a report with 9 key findings and 13 recommendations. This week, caucus and cabinet reviewed and approved these recommendations in full. Implementation is phased across 4 timeframes: 30, 60, 180 days, and beyond. Any legislative changes will go through the usual public consultation process. Our immediate focus over the next month is on 4 things. First, establishing START, the Strategic Task Force for Action, Reform, and Transformation, led by my office, to be the overarching body coordinating the delivery of every recommendation of the report. Second, delegating certain planning decisions from the CPA to professional planning officers so routine applications get a faster response. Third, introducing binding timelines for how quickly the National Conservation Council, the Central Planning Authority, and the Development Control Board in the Sister Islands must respond to referrals and applications. No more open-ended waiting. And fourth, requiring that these entities regularly publish their minutes and their reasoning so the public can see how decisions are made. We are also advancing work on an updated National Development Plan, which will come to Parliament later this year. K-Man Forward has given us a clear roadmap for a shared decision framework based on evidence and collaboration. I want to thank everyone who took part. It hasn't always been easy, but people who haven't sat in the same room in years came together in good faith and found common ground. That gives us real hope. I believe we are turning a page, building in K-Man, where we look after our people and our land for this generation and future generations. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, good morning, folks. Happy Friday. Hope everyone is having a good day. We do have a serious accident alert to advise you of this morning. if you are in the vicinity of Walker's Road, and let me just see what this junction is called. Give me 1 second here. Basically, Walker's Road and Truth for Youth School. Yes, Walker's Road and Truth for Youth School. You are advised, you're being advised this morning to please avoid the area. Again, Walker's Road and Truth for Youth School. There's a serious accident involving a Suzuki Swift, and I can't see another vehicle, so my apologies. I'm assuming this could be a single vehicle accident. Yep, we have a number of pictures here. Give me 1 second to just pull them up. I was looking to see if there was anything more to this. So the police actually have that area of Walker's Road, what do we call it now? Cordoned off. So you cannot go in that area. So please, again, wishing to advise you that this is a serious accident. My sources reveal that earlier this morning, right. My apologies. Just, yeah. Okay. So, my sources this morning reveal that the person was still alive on the scene, but it is pretty serious. So there is a possibility that things could change because, yeah, not looking good. We've got video footage as well. Accident, yes. Honey, chill. Okay, all right. So lots of you are messaging me, inquiring about what is going on. So please just avoid Walker's Road altogether if you can. This will give the authorities the wherewithal to, deal with the situation. So yeah, not a good look. Let me just show you some pictures here. My apologies. I was trying to get it posted on social as well for the benefit of people who may not be listening to the show. Which, hey, it's always a good idea to listen because we do tell you breaking things like this. But this is right there by Top Taste Restaurant and the funeral home. Yes. So you see the police there, and the accident appears to be a little bit further down. Trying to pinpoint exactly which little house this is, but there it is. They somehow left the road and end up in the bushes. The Suzuki seems to be really in a bad state. So folks, avoid Walker's Road. That's a suggestion I would make for you. I don't know how far down the restriction goes, but the police have also issued a statement advising people to essentially, stay out of the area. All right, so police and emergency services are on the scene this morning, and the road is actually, again, restricted. All right, so we will post this now on social for the benefit of all of our listeners. But again, please, folks, just stay out of the area. As we know more, we will certainly update all of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, looks like another sad situation here today. Be careful on the roadways. You got to slow down and take your time. So we have a couple things this morning on for you, including some pre-recorded interviews. So we've got FIFA. The rules of the games have changed. We want to make sure that you're well versed in those. Of course, big football weekend this weekend as the World Cup wraps up. Gee, that went by quickly, huh? And then we have the Minister of Finance and Economic Development. He is also going to be joining us by a pre-recorded video. He was on last week, Friday, and we didn't get to talk about the Finance Committee and the other things that he wanted to do in reference to that. So he committed and he delivered, my apologies, that he would actually that he would actually join us. By pre-recorded, and so we made sure that that happened, and we've got it all ready for you. So I misspoke yesterday, and I'm going to be honest with you. I unfortunately cannot. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the police have been on the scene for a minute because someone just sent me a picture that was taken before the sun even came up. And so the fact that they're still on location, let me just show you guys this. I just received this one. Obviously, this accident happened pretty early in the morning hours. The fact that the police are still on location doesn't really give me any degree of confidence regarding this person's well-being. This is probably going to be one of those situations where it's a miracle. Yeah. So the fire trucks, apparently, they're saying just left. Wow. All right. We will. Yeah. All right. We will certainly keep all of you updated on this front here. So let me just send this out to all of our social media channels. So please, folks, just a reminder, if you are not getting your news alerts, that means that you are not following the channel, and you've also not set the channel up correctly, because there is a little bell that you have to turn on. By default, it's off. And that way, you get the social media notifications. Okay, so in lieu of that, you're probably missing out on quite a bit that is happening in the community. So please join the channel. If you need the link, just WhatsApp me, and I'm happy to share it with you. And I think we've done a QR code before. I'll stick it up again on social media, just as a little bit of a reminder on how to join the channel. So the channel is one directional. So you get the notifications and you're able to read them at your leisure. Some people like to read them once a day. Some people like to have them pop up when they come in, and they read them throughout. So good morning to Marshall. Good morning to Olivia. Felicia, my apologies. Where the heck did I get Olivia from? Felicia. Good morning, Miss Dean. Happy Friday to you. Got to go do my thing every time I hear this song. Were you dancing to the morning song? Olivia, good morning to you. Yes, I knew I saw Olivia there somewhere. Miss Marjorie joining us. Good morning, Miss Marjorie. Strong Wilt in the house. Happy Friday. Damaris, blessings. Miss Sue Bodden is here joining us. Happy Friday. Barbara G, Debbie B, Lucille F, Live Happy. Good morning. Miss Mitzi is in the house. Andrew is also here. Good morning. And lots of others. Where are all you people? I see 200 people almost, and most of you are not saying good morning. Where are your manners, honey? Chat. All right. So the health officials are confirming a case of, I don't even know what this is. I don't think I've ever heard of this before. Cyclophoriasis. Okay, we're going to need dictionary.com to make sure we are even pronouncing this remotely right, because I don't know what this word is. I have never heard of it before. So let's see. Oh, they have a vocab training now. I hear you. They always try to find a way to make you spend money. Okay, cyclosporin. But that's not what I put in there. I said cyclophoriasis, maybe. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's see what we got here. Cyclosporiasis. I think that's how it is. Now let's listen to it. How to say it. Okay, hold on. All right. Class A, are we ready to learn how to pronounce the word of the day? Hold on 1 second. We're gonna pull this up here. We're gonna do a YouTube video this morning to see how to pronounce it. All right, let's see. Let's see what they say. Okay. I'm not hearing anything. Why am I not hearing anything? Huh? You gotta tell me that one more time. Size, tongue twister. Cyclosporai. One more. Cyclosporiasis. No. Cyclosporiasis. Yes, I think that's as close as we're gonna get. My goodness, what a word! Oh, sorry, I didn't even pull it in for you guys to see the word of the day. Here we go. This is how you spell it. This is how it's spelled, and then let's start over with pronouncing it. Yeah, here we go. Tongue twister for sure.
Cyclosporiasis. Cyclosporiasis.
OMG. Hold on.
Cyclosporiasis.
Yes. All right, so let me tell you what this is. Now that we cannot pronounce it. All right, so
Cyclosporiasis.
Okay, so it's a tiny parasite behind explosive diarrhea. What the who?
Cyclosporiasis.
Oh my God, you cannot be kidding. I've been hearing about this explosive diarrhea thing in the news. And say what now? Let's read this together. We have it here. We have a case of it here. Ew. My goodness. What next? All right. Well, this is your official health alert. Oh my God. This has got to be horrible. So we have an imported case. Yeah, thanks, travelers. So states across I'm just reading the CMR article in case you missed it. States across the United States continue to report an increase in cases of this diarrhea-causing illness, Hold on, I'm gonna get this yet. Hold on. I feel like I almost had it when I was doing it phonetically. Hold on. Cyclosporiasis. Cyclosporiasis. That's phonetically. All right. So yeah, I'm not going to say that too often this morning. Cayman health officials are assuring the public that there's no evidence of local transmission, with the only confirmed case identified to date involving a recent traveler who's believed to have contracted the infection overseas. So big shout out to the Ministry of Health, Environment and Sustainability and the Public Health Department for issuing this announcement yesterday. I need to know more about this, but at the same time, I'm kind of not wanting to know about it, if that makes any sense. Wow. Okay, well, we got to know, because you can't live in the dark. So they have been having outbreaks all over the U.S. Illinois alone reported 240 cases of the intestinal infection that causes, and I'm going to put in quotations here, explosive diarrhea. My God. No definitive cause for the current outbreak has been identified. What? Whoa. Okay. 240 confirmed cases. According to Illinois' Public Health Department, it's not considered a deadly disease, thank God, and is more of an inconvenience than in rare cases where you can have some serious complications. An infectious disease expert at the University of Chicago Medicine said that 21 people in Illinois had been hospitalized so far. 105 people internationally have had this, and 111 domestically. It's unclear if the other 24 people had traveled. So, of course, people are traveling. Let's see. We also have the chief medical officer, issuing a statement yesterday. So I'm just going to play that now for you all. Give me 1 second to pull that up for you. Yes. Okay. And yeah, this does not sound like a comfortable situation at all. I mean, just the description of explosive diarrhea makes me want to not even continue reading. But anyway, let me just get the audio notes here. So yeah, so this is the sort of thing that sounds like it'll give you a tummy ache, just even listening to it. All right, so give me 1 second. Oh my goodness, my Outlook is looking weird this morning. Okay, give me 1 second here. doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. All right. Where's my preview pane? What's going on here? Outlook, what you doing? What's going on? All right, let me just restart Outlook. There we go. All right. So needless to say, I want to find out how this is transmitted. I mean, that's the number one thing I want to know. Gastrointestinal, oh my God. As someone who suffers from IBS, I can tell you this just sounds horrific. And I feel like sometimes that's exactly what I have with my IBS. Woo! Lord Jesus. All right, let me see here. Yesterday was Thursday. And here we go. So we have one from Dr. Erica Simmons and Dr. Hilary Wolf. So let's just have a listen to what they have to share with us. And then we will hopefully get some details on how this is transmitted and what you need to do to protect yourself. I suspect that, as with most things, you just got to wash your hands carefully, be careful who you're around. You know, all of those types of things can make a significant difference. So give me 1 second. This is an audio file. So I think, yes, we can pull it in this location. So here we go. Ready? All right.
At this time, there is no evidence to suggest that the recent increase in cases reported in the United States presents an increased risk to the residents of the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands Molecular Biology Laboratory has diagnostic capability to detect Cyclospora infection, and we continue to monitor information provided through international health partners while maintaining heightened surveillance and public health monitoring protocols.
That's it? Okay. Oh my goodness. I was expecting more. All right. Let's just see what Dr. Erica says. Maybe Dr. Erica tells us about transmission and, you know, the other things that we need to know. Because I'm like, how and how to not get it. And that's what I want to know about this thing. So let's see if Dr. Erica Simmons gives us a bit more. 1 second here, folks. I kind of feel like, am I the only one who thought for a second there she was never going to pronounce the word? She pronounced the variation of it. She's like, I'm not going to get into that tongue twister.
The driving force for this year's increase in cyclosporiasis is unknown.
Cyclosporiasis?
No specific food item has been identified as the source of infection, nor a specific brand or seller of food. The CDC has advised that lettuce or salad greens, especially prepackaged salads, are potential sources for the infection. We encourage residents to be vigilant, increase their adherence to hand hygiene practices, and wash all fresh produce before consumption, even if they are prepackaged.
Okay. All right. So I suspected as much, you know, I was thinking about this. And in fact, didn't I see something yesterday that said they had identified, at least in one state, the cause was from some lettuce delivery? Hold on. Let me just have a look here. Today's the 17th. I swore I saw something yesterday that was saying that somebody had identified at least the source of one of the outbreaks. It was some lettuce delivery to some fast food chain or something. So let's just have a look. So basically, I don't need to tell you what explosive diarrhea is. You can figure that out on your own. But they're frequent. And as a result of that, because, you know, I mean, don't laugh, but diarrhea can kill you if you get too dehydrated, because it is very, very serious. Your body is losing a lot of nutrients and everything very, very quickly. And that's not how the body's meant to operate. And so you can have loss of appetite, you can have weight loss, stomach cramps, severe bloating, nausea, fatigue, and even a low-grade fever with this cyclo thingamajig. Oh my God. Anyway, you know what I mean. So it is an intestinal infection caused by the microscopic parasite called the Cyclospora cayentanensis. Okay, that's even worse. And so you typically get it by eating produce or drinking water that's contaminated with tiny amounts of feces. Oh God. Yeah, okay. And this is why you got to wash your fruits and vegetables, people. Do not eat stuff right out of the bag. Restaurants, please and thank you. Make sure that you're washing everything before you put it out for people to eat. Unwashed lettuce and salad greens has been a source of many illnesses, not just this one, but there's even the rat one, which I forget what it's called now, that has actually killed people before. I remember years ago hearing about a wedding party in Jamaica where the bride and other people got severely ill, and a few of the bridal party people actually died from it. And it was because somebody at the resort didn't wash the lettuce, and there was like the snail parasite and something. But anyway, these types of things, you've got to wash. You get your fruits and vegetables from the supermarket, and I know you think that they've been washed, and they might have gone through some degree of washing, but trust me when I tell you that you need to wash them. Yeah. So wash them again, put them in some baking soda and water and let them soak a little bit. That normally does it, or some vinegar as well. Pesticides and all sorts of stuff you want to try to remove as much as possible. Strawberries, you can't wash pesticides off of strawberries. Let me just tell you that from now. So what you want to do with strawberries is buy organic. I know you're going to pay more, but trust and believe me, unfortunately, the way a strawberry is, the research has shown you can't remove the pesticides from strawberries. So buy organic if you're going to eat strawberries. All right. So bless their hearts. This does not sound like a fun illness. Treatment and prevention includes antibiotics. And they treat you with a combination of antibiotics. And if you're allergic to sulfa drugs, alternative antibiotics can be prescribed. Then hydration, just drinking lots of fluid, including electrolyte solutions like Pedialyte, is also critical to avoid dangerous dehydration. And like I said, that's always a thing when you have it. And if you have kids, you know this already. Anytime they get sick and they're going to the bathroom a lot, there is the potential of them becoming extremely dehydrated, or even if they're throwing up. These are types of things that you need to be very, very careful of. So folks, wash your veggies, wash your fruits, wash your hands, peel your apples. Yeah, that skin can, I think the only way with apples is really to peel them as well, which is unfortunate because you're losing some of the fiber in the peelings. But unless you can get straight organic that you trust and you know for sure has not been exposed to things, But yeah, one case of this already. My God, I guess they probably had to go to the hospital and they were tested, and that's how they know. So it is in circulation in the US at the moment. And so just be careful. Of course, we have lots of travelers. Oh yes, I knew I saw where it was coming from. I told you. All right. Taylor Farms lettuce at Taco Bell has been linked to the outbreak. There you go. I knew I saw it tied to some fast food chain. Ooh, honey child, no Taco Bell for you. Taco Bell make your tummy upset. Ooh, Taco Bell. My goodness, their stock probably just dropped a couple digits. Oh God, I'm so not a Taco Bell person. I love that crunch wrap though. Can we talk about that? Pico, right here in Cayman, better version of Taco Bell, way better version. They do like a supreme something wrap that is so good. You can get whatever meat you want in it. I've had it like twice now, and I'm in hog heaven, as they say. Thank you, Pico. Love me some Pico boy. It's like the supreme wrap or something. I don't know. But I got it last time with shrimp. OMG. Delicioso. Okay, let me not go down that rabbit hole. So lettuce at Taco Bell in 5 states confirmed a source of this diarrhea-causing cyclosporiasis outbreak. The supplier is Taylor Foods. So big shout out to the Washington Post. They're telling me you should purchase unlimited access to the Washington Post. Well, I have already, so let me sign in. Let me sign in. This is one of the publications I do subscribe to. I used to do Miami Herald, and then I can't be bothered with Miami Herald. So I do Washington Post, The Economist, and a few others. So anyway, they have identified now this source, which they say agencies said investigators identified a single supplier of iceberg lettuce from Mexico. Buenos dias. So this announcement dropped yesterday that a multi-state outbreak of cyclosporiasis, I think that's as close as we're going to get, has sickened thousands of people and has been linked to shredded lettuce served at Taco Bell restaurants in 5 states, confirming key findings first reported by the Washington Post. Go Washington Post. I like how they say that. First confirmed by the Washington Post. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Administration said the traceback investigators identified a single supplier of iceberg lettuce from Mexico used at Taco Bell restaurants in Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. All updates posted on the CBC and FDA website late Thursday. Officials urge consumers not to do not eat shredded lettuce from Taco Bell restaurants in those states while the investigation continues. Boy, I would not be taking a chance going to Taco Bell, not at all. But nonetheless, the agencies did not name a supplier. However, 2 individuals familiar with the inquiry said investigators had identified Taylor Farms as the supplier of the shredded iceberg lettuce. Kaboom! I like how they just dropped that in there despite the agencies not saying anything. The individual spoke on the condition of anonymity to share details of the ongoing investigation. The FDA is working directly with the supplier to determine if contaminated shredded iceberg lettuce went to other places. More than 1,644 people have gotten sick in this latest outbreak, reportedly eating at Taco Bell locations in the 5 states. So there you go. Wowee. Whoa. Be careful, folks. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to help some people find their items this morning. We need to find the owner of this phone. Let me just show you the photo. And if you know this young lady, we'll post it on social as well. Please, it's an iPhone. It looks like an older model iPhone. I can't really tell, but it doesn't have the 3 cameras. Maybe it's just not a pro or something. I don't know. But if you know this young lady here, please, or somebody connected to her, because maybe it's like a boyfriend or something, let her know that her phone has been found. So step forward, folks. We found a phone. We also have a passport this morning that needs help reuniting with its owner. So let me give you that information. Okay. Okay. All right. So we also need to assist this passport holder. Her name is Shanice Samantha Dixon. Shanice Samantha Dixon. We have your passport, Jamaican passport. If you would like to be reunited with it, please do reach out to us by WhatsApp, just a WhatsApp message, and we can reunite you with your passport. Okay, Shanice, Samantha Dixon, we have your, well, we don't personally have it, but someone has your passport and we can give you the number. All righty. What a mess. All right, so if you can assist any of those folks, please do assist. Christy, good morning to you. Miss Juliet's in the house. Omiria, good morning, love. Speaking of Miss Omiria, you just made me think of this. What is going on this year with the plums? Why can't I get my hand on any? I bought a few the other day at the farmer's market, but the last couple of years, is it my imagination or are the good plum trees disappearing? And who has a plum tree? It looks like I might have to plant my own plum tree next, but I can't seem to find, a plum tree. Wow. Anybody can help me out here? You got any plums? Help out a sister. It's that time of year where we get our little mangoes and plums. I had my full mangoes from my own tree this year. Bless that tree's little heart. She overproduced Cayman mangoes, and I was so tickled pink. But now I'm in the mood for some plums, and they are very, very difficult to come by. You know who used to have a really nice plum tree? Miss Karen. Miss Karen right there on Crew off of Crew Road. Her last name escapes me right now, but she worked at Compass at one time. Yes, and Compass on the printing side, I believe. All right, so let's watch the video with the because the minister has a lot of important things to say, so I do want you guys to watch this. But let's watch the FIFA video first. FIFA video first, and then hopefully we can get to hear the full, because I want our radio listeners to hear it as well, so we can get to the full one here. All right. Let me see. Okay. Ooh, someone can get me some plums. Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Thank you. Love it. Get my hands on some good plums. How easy is it to plant a plum tree? Do you just stick the plum in the ground? Karen Ryan. Oh, yes. Thank you. Somebody else was to me last time. I'm like, huh? Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Someone else said, share the plums, girl. Oh, honey child. Oh, I can't wait to get some. Marlon was saying to me, there's a proper name for plums. They're called, what did he tell me they're called again? Something plums. Oh my gosh. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mom, and how are you today?
I'm good. Did you get any more plums?
No, I haven't gotten any from those that I got for us. Not a 1 cent. But I will check this evening, see if they have any.
Okay.
But I want everyone to know that you do make the best, what it was, cream of wheat cake.
Oh, well, that wasn't me, so I can't take credit for that one. That was made by an East End friend.
Oh, well.
Yes, but you enjoyed it. It was good, right?
Listen, East End is the best,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
The best, the top cornbread, the best cream of wheat, the best yam cake, and the best cassava cake, come straight out of East End.
Yep. Yeah, they're good. They're good cooks. They're good cooks for sure. But yeah, Miss Karen used to have a beautiful plum tree years ago. I don't know I can't remember if this is before or after Ivan, but man, that plum tree was, oh my God, loaded and gorgeous. And then, I think some storm might have pulled it up or something. But anyway, if I get some, I will let you know.
Yes, and I don't understand because how the plum tree grow, it's low and it what you call it, it spreads out.
Yes.
So I don't understand how we are losing so much of them, and I hope and pray that it don't become extinct, you know?
Yeah.
Because we are seeing, I think we are seeing less and less every year.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if I mean sometimes things are impacted by, you know, like how we have this white springy infestation thing. So sometimes that will actually impact production of certain things. And then you know, the farmers, listen, I learned so much when I went to the agriculture department the other day, because they were even talking about the fact that the mango trees, not every year every tree will bear. He's like, you know, sometimes you have a good crop for a couple of years and then the tree kind of cycles through. So other years it's going to have no crop on it at all. But this has been a very low producing mango season as well. So you know, our East India didn't bear hardly anything.
I have proven that.
Yeah,
I have proven that, Sarah, because I have many mango trees in my yard, and I had 2 or 3 this year that bared about a dozen each. Usually they're hanging low, and then the other ones was full, had a full crop. So I witnessed that. But another thing, being I'm on here, maybe you can help me. I have one of the big guava trees, and the black fly or white fly, whatever. Yesterday I went out because someone told me to mix. Someone said when you mix dish liquid in water and spray it with it. But let me tell you, I don't know any amount of dish liquid this side, you know, can help that. I noticed that it's killing it. It is killing it, and this was a healthy tree. So if anyone can help me, tell me. I sprayed it yesterday, and I'm going to try and spray it this evening. But if anyone can tell me if there is anything else, otherwise I'm going to have to go to the agriculture department also and see if they have any.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the gardening companies do know the different things that you can spray on it. But you know, you can definitely go to agriculture as well, and they'll help you out with it. Well, thank you, my dear. Look at what's on the screen. Somebody just told me they got some plums. Girl, we can get hooked up this weekend. Thank you.
God. Yes, let me know. Okay, hon.
Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning, son. How you doing?
Morning. How are you? You got any plums, man?
I got a couple of pots that need to be. They've actually already rooted out, but they're not where they need to be.
Oh, the plum trees?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, thank you.
Which one is the red and which one is the yellow?
I didn't know that they come.
Pertains to growing a plum tree, they're relatively easy.
Yes.
All you got to do is cut off a piece between 2 to 4 inches of branch, put it in some good ground, and keep it irrigated until it starts to root out and starts to put off foliage. After that, it's pretty hard to plant that can do its thing.
Okay, I got to find room though, because they tend to spread out, right?
That's what my next point here was. They are wide spreaders, so they need far more space than most other trees. But you can train them up if you want.
Okay.
And as it pertains to what the lady was saying, she's talking about the various insects attack the tree, and what she's referring to, which what people in Cayman refer to as black lice. More often than not, that is the croton scale, which has a symbiotic relationship with the ants. So the croton scale puts out a honeydew, which is basically their doo-doo, and the ants feed on that honeydew. And then the ants protect the scales from animals, critters that would eat the scales. So they have a symbiotic relationship.
Let me ask you a question now. So my husband Marlon said to me the other day when he saw me eating a few plums, he's like, do you know that those plums are called hog plums? Is that the same kind of plum that we have here, or hog plum is different?
we have two kind of hog plum in Cayman. We have the one that is Spondias purpurea. That's the one we know as hog plum. We have the red and we have the yellow kind.
Okay.
Then we also have the wild hog plum, which is yellow, and it's actually a hardwood tree that has small thorns on it. That I think it's a native to Cayman as well. But they call what we call hog plum the jocote in Central America. Now, as it pertains to what our lady was saying, she can try different applications. She can do a mixture. If she wants to do 100% natural or organic pesticide, she can try a mixture of pyrethrin and neem oil and do it every 2 weeks. Just make sure that all of the plants and the branches on the sides get hit. That you just keep doing that every 2 weeks or so until the issue resolves itself. The black moldy looking stuff is actually the glue that comes from
the byproduct.
the insect.
Yeah, but it likes to live underneath that's why you got to spray it underneath, because it likes to live underneath the plant leaf.
Right, and then the scales, they'll generally inhabit like where the new growth is. The green wood and the emerging leaf stalks and stuff like that. You can get rid of it, but it's not that quick of a solution.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for her, you can go to permethrin, which is available at Vigoro and other places. And if that doesn't help, then she would be well advised to ask, for instance, like Miss Claudette at the Department of Agriculture or any of the crop extension services over there. They're also well capable of giving good advice as to how to go about ridding her tree of that issue.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. So I will be getting some. Somebody said they want your number for some yellow plums. They'd like to get a limb off of that tree.
I can show them where to go, but like I tell you, I had all of my plants, the reds and the yellows together, and to be honest with you, I don't know which one is which.
Oh,
but I know.
You can't tell them apart anymore.
No. I don't have to get them planted out, and then when they fruit, I know. I know Mr. Alden has a tree. I know that there's a few trees where Miss Lucloy's grounds are down on Whitegate Road up in East End. Her daughter took over that operation, and I could ask her for permission to take some cuttings for folks if folks want. I'm happy to help facilitate that, no problem.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I'm glad to see. I'll send her your number. Good. All right. Well, listen, Marlon was making fun of me, but I hope he know Caymanians love their plums. I told him, I'm like, oh, you like hog plum? And I was like, hog plum? What are you talking about? I just call them plums. And he said, yeah, that's what they're called. I think he was trying to imply something, if you know what I mean. But I'm not paying him no mind. I said, that's okay. They still be good. And I'd be like a hog in heaven. Yep. Enjoying my plums. But yes, thank you so much. So I got a couple of sources now for some plums. This particular individual who has this, she sent proof of life. She's like, look, oh my God, they look so amazing. She said that there's a particular blouse I was wearing one day that she really likes. She'll do an exchange. Give her the blouse for the plums. I love it. All right, let's listen to the FIFA interview, and then we're going to get into Finance Committee. Some really good stuff here. All right. Hold on. Why am I not seeing anything? Hold on. Tighten discipline on the pitch. And so now we're going to speak with Mr. Livingston Bailey, who's Director of Refereeing with the Cayman Islands Football Association, where he leads the local referee development and training. So good day, Mr. Bailey. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. we want to just take a minute to have a discussion with you around these new rules. So can you tell us, if you can, what was the impetus for why there were some of the changes, you think?
Well, the 140th annual general meeting of the International Football Association met in Hensel, Wales on the 28th day of February 2026. That happens pretty much every year to make adjustment to the laws of the game.
Right.
And they met in Wales in February of this year just to make those changes.
Wow. And it seems like there's some significant changes. So is this, in your opinion, the most significant changes in recent times?
Yes, pretty much. It actually started last year when the 8-second rule was changed for the goalkeepers to ensure flow in the game. And also, additional measures have been implemented for this year, starting July 1st, to control the flow of the game and to avoid the unnecessary stoppages in the game.
All right. So since you mentioned the 8-second rule, what is that one?
So the 8-second rule is once the goalkeeper has control of the ball within his hands, he has 8 seconds to release the ball. The first 3 seconds is managed silently by the referee, but then you have a visual count of 5 seconds. So the goalkeeper is clear that he has to release the ball within that 8-second period. If it is not released within that 8-second period, then obviously the other team will get a corner kick.
Wow. That's quite significant.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it was the case that sometimes the goalkeepers then were hanging on to the ball for a lot longer period of time, trying to look at the field and determine what the most strategic. So this is keeping them on their toes.
On their toes to make sure the game has a flow in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Very interesting. All right. Football fans, referees. All right. So since you mentioned the 8-second rule, what is that one?
So the 8-second rule is once the goalkeeper has control of the ball within his hands, he has 8 seconds to release the ball. The first 3 seconds is managed silently by the referee, but then you have a visual count of 5 seconds. So the goalkeeper is clear that he has to release the ball in that 8-second period. If it is not released within that 8-second period, then obviously the other team will get a corner kick.
Wow. That's quite significant.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it was the case that sometimes the goalkeepers then were hanging on to the ball for a lot longer period of time, trying to look at the field and determine what the most strategic. So this is keeping them on their toes.
On their toes to make sure the game has a flow in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Very interesting. All right. So for CONCACAF and by extension, the Cayman Islands, these laws of the game changes took effect already July the 1st. How much preparation went into rolling out these locally before the new season?
Well, most people have been watching the World Cup games that have started back in June. And these new changes have already been implemented in the FIFA games. So in terms of local setup, obviously the coaches, referees, match commissioners, everyone has to be sensitized to these new changes, which a meeting is coming up in August to make sure everyone is familiar with these changes.
Okay. So at all levels, these changes would be in effect. So even the camps now for the younger kids, like the under 15 and, you know, everybody is going to be playing by the signals.
Everyone, because the changes will start like in the throw-in and goal kicks.
Right.
So obviously you have 5 seconds to release the ball during a throw-in. If it is not released within that time, the throw goes to the opposing team. Subsequently, in a goal kick situation, once the goalkeeper or defender puts the ball down to kick it into play, it must be released within 5 seconds. If it is not, then the opposing team gets a corner kick. So that would be significant on the teams
Yes.
to ensure that they expedite whatever they're doing in quick time.
Okay, we are going to go through some of the changes here in more detail, but of everything that has changed this year, what do you think is the one rule, if you had to pick one rule, that would be most noticeable to fans watching a match? Which one do you think it is?
I think substitution,
Okay.
because now once the fourth official raises the board to indicate the substitution procedure and which player is coming out, which player is going in, the player coming out only has 10 seconds to leave the field of play. If that player doesn't leave the field in time, yes, he has to come off, but the player going in will have to wait at least a minute after players restarted before he can enter the field. So that would now put the team at a disadvantage playing with less players if they do not get the substitute in the field in time. Yes.
Wow, that is something. Okay. All right. So we have some broad headings now that the changes fall under. The first one is the tempo and time wasting measures. So we've talked about the 5-second countdown, and you've explained how that works for the throw-ins and the goal kicks, right? And if a team still hasn't taken the restart in time, the penalty will be...
For the throw-in, the penalty is the throw-in goes to the other team, the opposite team, the opposing team.
Right.
And for the goal kick, it's a corner kick, but that could be dangerous because you don't want to have a corner kick being taken against you when that could have been avoided by a few seconds.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then the substitution rule, which you just touched on as well, just to reiterate that gives players just 10 seconds to leave the pitch, or the substitute has to wait until a stoppage of after a minute. Do you think that that's enough time in practice, especially in a hot day with, say, an injured player that's leaving the field?
Well, it's about keeping the tempo and the flow of the game. And obviously, getting a player off the field within 10 seconds is definitely possible. Because the player don't necessarily have to come to the halfway line where where his teammate is coming on for the change.
Okay.
The player can leave the field at any boundary line.
Boundary.
So therefore, 10 seconds is definitely enough for the player to leave the field of play. So it's just about coordination and ensure that the coaches speak to their players and ensure that they fully understand the concept that is being implemented.
Right. In the instance of an injured player, would that still be 10 seconds, or do they give any special consideration?
No. An injured player, of course, referees are not doctors, so we have to allow the medical team to assess the player.
If they can even be moved.
Right,
Yes.
but if the injured player is being assessed, obviously the injured player have to leave the field of play with the medical staff and given an extra minute to assess the player to see if the player can continue the game or they will need a replacement, a substitution. So it's just to add additional time for assessment of the player.
Right.
Right.
And injured outfield players also now have to stay off for a full minute, and the clock is running after the restart. Some have argued that this could be exploited defensively, for instance, to run down the clock. Are there any safeguards in place to ensure that doesn't happen?
Well, obviously, FIFA is thinking about, or the International Football Association board is thinking about the safety of the player. So once a player is injured, they want to ensure that the player has proper treatment, proper assessment to determine their availability to continue the game.
Right.
if this player is not fit to continue, in the interest of the team, it's best to sub this player. So what they're trying to do is to ensure that we do not keep players who are injured beyond the ability to play on the field of play and cause further problems. Recently, there was a game between Belgium and Spain where the goalkeeper got injured and had to leave the game. The reserve goalkeeper came in and Spain won the game. So you can say the change should not have happened, or if he was not injured, then Belgium would have done better. But the reality is, if the goalkeeper is injured and cannot continue, you have to make the change.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to the VAR expansion heading. So that now VAR will allow the review of red cards from an incorrect second yellow card, right? So cases of mistaken identity and clearly wrong corner kicks. So why are these specific scenarios chosen, and why now on the 9th anniversary, you think, of VAR?
I think in relation to the red cards and the mistaken identity, those are pretty much in play. So it's not a major change.
Okay.
What has really changed is the situation regarding corner kicks and goal kicks, where the referee might have signaled a goal kick when it should have been a corner. So now they have asked the VAR to intervene if the referee has made an error.
Right.
And we'd have seen it throughout the World Cup matches that it is working, and it's working well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just for the benefit of our listeners who might not know what VAR stands for.
VAR is the video assistant referee. So they work in the off the field of play, in the booth, watching the replays and see where they can give the referee assistance in developing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So corner kick review in a competition, option rather than mandatory. So this is also going to apply for Cayman and CONCACAF competitions?
More CONCACAF competition, because in the Cayman Islands we do not have the VARs yet. Discussions are ongoing for some time to implement it, but we do not have the VAR in place in the Cayman Islands as yet. So we will not have that affecting our football right now.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right. The old blanket ban on jewelry has been replaced with a rule allowing accessories if they're safely covered. What's the driving thinking behind this particular change? Obviously referees judge safely and securely covered. That seems like there's a bit of discretion in there.
Yes, well, certainly what has happened now is players are allowed to wear pieces of jewelry that are not considered dangerous. So wearing a necklace which hangs around your neck is not considered safety.
Right.
Wearing, for female players who may wear hoop earrings, that is not considered safety. So what they're talking about is like knob earrings, maybe a wedding band that can be covered and stuff like that. But the general thing is safety.
Yes.
At the end of the day, when the decision is made to allow a player to wear jewelry, the referee must consider the safety of the item that the player is wearing. That's the key significance.
Yeah, because I could even imagine some wedding bands might just be a plain band, and then some are going to be more, things, up on the ring, and so it's a bit of discretion that has to be applied there.
The simple jewelry that doesn't provide any negative safety issues, those ones can be worn. No problem with those.
Right. Okay. Let's go on then to Law 12 and discipline. So there is a no caution anymore for a dog show offense. Explain to us what type of offense that is.
So a dog show offense is denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. And that means, say for example, the last defending player commits a foul, takes the player out just before entering the penalty area, then obviously that may be considered a dog. So what they're actually saying now, no caution for the dog so offense if the advantage is played. So the player was fouled, but the player was able to keep possession of the ball and continue his attack. The advantage is played, a goal is scored. There's no need to penalize the offending player.
Right.
Right. So
But it's only if it results in a goal being scored.
yes,
Because
only
then
if it-
obviously there was no real advantage.
Exactly.
Disadvantage. Yes. Okay. I
so
see.
they have toned down somewhat to give the offending player an opportunity not
Yeah.
to be penalized for the offense.
Okay, got it. Yes, it's good to explain and go through these things. And then we have Circular 33 in the documentation that was sent through, basically added a new sending off offense where players covering their mouths to hide comments to an opponent. How is a referee meant to detect and prove that in real time?
So this is where a player is angry at an opponent
Yes.
and covers his mouth to
Says
speak
something derogatory.
derogatory. And now they're saying if you do that, you'll obviously get a red card for doing that. And that is very serious.
Wow.
That happened in the World Cup where a player covered his mouth and immediately got sent off.
Wow.
Yes. So
And does it matter what he said? I mean, is there any?
there's nothing has to do with what he says because they're not sure what he's saying. But the covering of his mouth is indicating that he's saying something that is not nice to the other player.
Right.
And obviously they want to take a stand to that.
That's very interesting. So referees now have to be on the lookout for that as well.
Certainly.
Okay. And then we have another new provision where players leaving the field in protest at a referee's decision is now a sending off offense. And instructing them or instructing others to leave can get a team official sent off as well. Wow.
Well, the referee is the authority figure in the game.
Yes.
If you protest a decision made by a referee or his assistant referee and decides to leave the field of play, then obviously the referee is going to send you off, so you're not going to be able to play. So this is all about discipline and to manage the behavior of players during the game.
Right. Then we see here that in 2027, a year from now, in July of 2027, only the captain protocol is going to become compulsory. So explain to our listeners what that is and what should clubs and associations be doing now to prepare themselves.
Well, that actually started since last year.
Okay.
But they have reiterated the importance of this. What that means, a referee makes a decision and several players crowd the referee. That doesn't work anymore. The captains are allowed to communicate with the referee if a decision is questionable or considered to be not fair to the team, but not the whole team surrounding the referee.
Right.
So all it is saying captains can speak to the referees, but not the whole team. Bringing a bit of control in that situation. Yes.
Because we've seen at times where tempers will flare up and that becomes a bit of a dangerous situation for the referee.
Yes, certainly.
Yes.
Certainly.
All right, so the IFAB and FIFA are also considering sanctions for players who fake injuries to protect a lead. Where does that conversation stand at this time?
Well, it's about fairness.
Yeah.
Because they do not expect people who are not injured to pretend as if they're injured. So if you're injured, yes, you get the treatment. But if FIFA finds out or if the referee finds out that you're faking injury, then obviously you're going to be penalized for that. Yes, certainly. So they're expecting players to control their behavior and control their emotions during the game.
Right. So FIFA is the Cayman Islands Football Association. How are you guys communicating? I mean, obviously this interview will go a long way, but how are you communicating these changes to local clubs, referees, and players ahead of the season now?
So on the 18th of August of this year, we are planning to have a session, a briefing session with coaches, captains, match commissioners, referees, a big session. So to make sure everyone fully understand the concept of these changes.
Right.
Because the season is said to be started in September. So we want to make sure that we do this before the season starts to ensure everyone is on the same page and understand what is happening.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
So folks, mark that date, save the date.
Yes.
If you fall into that category for local clubs, referees, and players, the 18th of August, that happens to be my birthday.
Oh.
So it's a great day, I'm sure, to accomplish a lot and get things done. Final question is, what do you think is the biggest challenge for referees at the local grassroots level here in Cayman, applying all of these changes versus the top flight, you know, where they have the VAR and all the extra resources?
Well, obviously it's going to take some time for players to adjust to these changes. So we'll have to also brief our referees to manage the situations where players may definitely didn't even realize that they are making these mistakes. But obviously, as the season develops and moves on, we expect them to understand that the referees will be applying the various sanctions for if players do not comply with the changes that are being made. But we wish the best for all teams and hope that everyone get the full understanding and that we can have fair games throughout the season.
Wonderful. Well, folks, we've been sitting down with Mr. Livingston Bailey, Director of Refereeing with the Cayman Islands Football Association, and he has taken some time today to walk us through the substantial changes that are coming, and it's good to get an explanation and understand the why and how it will impact local football right here in the Cayman Islands, as well as CONCACAF and really international football beyond. So thank you so much. And any predictions for the World Cup?
I don't know. I see a France-Argentina final.
Wow. Wow. That would be something.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's going to be a big one. We have a big game today, England versus... England is playing against...
Is it Sweden?
No.
No. Belgium? No.
No.
Oh,
Belgium lost yesterday.
Belgium lost yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, can't keep up.
Yes, England is playing a big game today in the Miami Stadium.
Oh, right. And
Right.
yes, I'd heard about that.
So I know a lot of locals are at that game
They're
today.
flying to Miami.
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly.
All right. Well, may the best team win.
Yes, certainly. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bailey. We appreciate it.
All right.
All right, folks. And of course, England is out. Sorry for them. Argentina's still in. And so we are going to see Argentina in Spain on Sunday at 3 p.m. Woohoo! What a hot mess. I think that's 3 p.m. their time. It should be 2 p.m. for us. Yeah, make sure you double check the time. So that's going to be an interesting match, no doubt. Messi, I guess, will be showing what he's made of. You know, there's been a lot of discussions about Argentina, which I did not know. Being a country, they say they're the most prejudiced country in that part of the world. I had no idea. The things you learn that you just simply did not know. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day, but I've been watching some very, very interesting things about the history of Argentina and how they have whitewashed their own country. No bueno, Argentina. Come on now, honey child. Meanwhile, all of you good Caribbean folks with lots of melanin in you, pulling for Messi in Argentina. My tweetums. What a hot mess. But thank you to Mr. Livingston Bailey for that very informative interview. Again, World Cup finals this weekend on Sunday. Is it today that they play for a third prize? I didn't even know that that was a thing, but apparently I was told that yes, England and France will be playing for a third prize. Probably still millions of dollars, right? Anywho, thank you so much. Marshall says that must be an old interview. That was on Saturday. So we did these interviews on Saturday. So yes, we were still talking about who was in it as of Saturday. All right, but still good content there for you folks to listen. If you're in the world of football here, if you have kids who are part of the Cayman Islands Football Association, do know that there are some changes to the rules that you need to be cognizant and aware of. And so they're doing a bit of an educational campaign to inform people about those changes. So I can confirm, folks, that the vehicle is, let me see here now. The vehicle on Walker's Road, is now being removed from the location. So the road should be opened again shortly. So that's good news. And let me just see here. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move into our next interview segment. So again, thanks to CIFA and Mr. Livingston Bailey for providing that information by way of community details. Let's now go into the interview with the minister, the Honorable Ralston Anglin, who's going to be talking about Finance Committee and the state of the government's finances. Really important stuff to pay attention to, folks. So when people say that we're broke or we're not broke or what's our fiscal position, this is where it's all going to be explained to you. And this interview was pre-recorded on Saturday ahead of the minister leaving for his family vacation. We are here with the Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Ralston Anglin. Of course, we had promised you that although we ran out of time on a previous Ministry Matters segment, we would dedicate an interview to finance and more specifically, the Finance Committee meeting that recently occurred on June the 30th, because there are a number of key things really that came out of that session. So, Minister, before we get into the details of what is going on with the country's finance, I think a lot of people forget that you are also not just Minister of Education and Training, but you're also Minister of Finance.
Right.
How often do you feel like people forget that important role as well?
You know, education is such an emotional and wide-reaching topic. After all, people often say it is the most important ministry. Mm-hmm. It is the ministry that shapes lives, creates positive futures. It's easy for that to get overshadowed. But I think more and more people are really paying attention to finances. The opposition, quite frankly, have been making a lot of noise around finances, putting out statements that I don't think are helpful to real public discourse about how we should be debating an important issue. For me, Sandra, debate is healthy, debate is critical, but it should be about policy positions versus inflammatory language that sets what is, I believe, unrealistic expectations. I think if we listen to the opposition, we would develop an absolute state of affairs and public finances that would be analogous to a welfare state. The minute government disincentivizes creativity and hard work versus just giving a handout is the minute a nation suffers. And if you want to see real examples of that, look at the plight of America and the lack of productivity that they have when they measure the lack of productivity in their economy. They're still a very, very strong economy. They're still a very strong nation, but they could be so much stronger. And if you look at old, real credible economists like the Milton Friedmans, et cetera, of the world, and you listen and see how that economy is now structured versus the way it used to be, you'll see that it's a real parallel shift.
Right.
So the government's role, in my mind, in public finances is creating sustainable revenues that has the most minimal impact on the average person. Hence the reason the majority of our revenues come from financial services, while protecting the economy and vulnerable families. That should be the real focus. Everything else should be down to your creativity, hard work, government putting in place the laws and infrastructure to ensure that people can move and have their being. And that's why economic development is so important. So to me, part of the reason people have not paid enough attention is I don't think we as government has paid enough attention to economic development. That's why when I get back from leave, I'm going to be rolling out 4 critically important initiatives that are going to be drive us toward broader vision of what economic development needs to look like. Because note even what you said. You said I'm Minister of Finance.
Yes.
I'm actually Minister of Finance and Economic Development.
Right. Yes.
And people have not paid attention
Yeah.
to that. And we've suffered a lot because we haven't strategically paid attention to, okay, how do we want to shape our economy? How does infrastructure support that? How does housing support that? How does Ministry of Financial Services support that? How does Ministry of Tourism support that? They all are hugely important ministries.
Yes.
But we need to have a national economic development plan. And that's one of the things I'm going to be working on. But this meeting of Finance Committee was important for me because government can change its budgets in two ways under the Public Management and Finance Act. We can do what is called an 11-5. So all that is if you look at Section 11, subsection 5 of the legislation, government can spend up to 5% for emergency purposes. That is going to be one of the changes that we're going to be making during this term. That section was really created more for things like Hurricane Ivan, big hurricanes where you then had to do emergency spending. The fact is, as we rolled out this new system in the early 2000s, one of the things that we've not done is revisited it and said, how do we now change the legislation to match the practice? And so we're going to create another section that deals with unforeseen circumstances that are not necessarily emergencies. Because right now we use that section, and in my mind we've used it for decades in ways that really wasn't intent. What we did in Finance Committee was actually make changes to the appropriations through Section 12. That is, none of these funds were allocated and made legal until we, in public, came to the Finance Committee so that the entire Parliament could question all ministers and the public could watch in the gallery or on YouTube and online. And so this is the most transparent way to do it. Wow. That is why this was so important for me as Minister of Finance, was ensuring that we brought that level of accountability and transparency. And so... And
let me just clarify, when you say the law, which piece of legislation specifically are you talking about for this Section 12? And
the Public Management and Finance Act.
Yes. Okay.
That is the act that governs how we budget, governs how we spend, gives legal authority to the entire finance regime within the Cayman Islands government. And so what I was extremely proud to present was how strong our budget has been performing, despite all of the negativity that the opposition came with. We are still projecting this year to have a surplus of $10.5 million. So it's right on par with the original budget. Our entire public sector is going to be right around $6 million, and the budget was projecting 5.6. So we're holding even, and here's why that's so impressive, Sandra. We've already announced around $8.5 to $10 million in relief for the fuel alone. That alone, if we just compared it to the budget itself, you would have said, but hold on, shouldn't you be now going into deficit? The reason we're not is we're $30 million up on revenues compared to where we projected ourselves to be. Okay. So all of those revenue measures that we brought that were roundly criticized about, imagine if we hadn't brought those.
Right.
Imagine if we hadn't brought those, we would be now way down compared to where we should have been. And
so let me, before we get into some of the numbers, let me just say this. Finance is one of those areas that, I personally struggle with sometimes understanding all the numbers. I know that a lot of people in the community, we can't even figure out our own personal finances, much less that of the country, right?
Sure.
So it's a difficult conversation to have when you start throwing out all these numbers. We have to kind of break it down and really think about it. And that's why I appreciate you doing this interview, because I think the information has to be disseminated in a very different way where we can ask questions with the understanding that there's no such thing as a dumb question, because we simply don't understand. So when you talk about this $267.9 million surplus through May, right? But then noted that the traditional decline for the rest of the year, because you've got this Q1 revenue where most of the money's made within the first quarter of the year. Just break that down and explain to us in the context of Cayman's economic climate how and why that actually happens.
So think of it like this, and people in tourism will get this.
Yeah.
During the high season, that's when you make the vast majority of your tips and gratuities, because tourists come traditionally between December through April.
Right.
You then know during the slow season, you better save up money because you're going to make less money during the summer through September and October. Same thing happens with government. Because by legislation, we require financial services entities to pay their fees by March 31st. So because they're required to pay their fees by March 31st, legally they pay them so that they avoid penalties and fines.
Right.
That just happens to also coincide with the highest tourism months. So we also make the most tourism revenues during the first quarter of the year as well. So that's why historically, and this is going back decades and decades and decades, the Cayman Islands government makes if you measure a surplus and deficit after Q1, you always are going to have a huge amount of monies, positive cash flow. More money is made versus what you've spent because you've only spent a quarter. Then all the other months are a deficit. You're actually bringing in less revenue than you're having to spend, because we can't just then say to civil servants, oh, by the way, government makes the vast majority of its money in Q1, so we could pay you most of your salaries in the first quarter as well. We pay them every month. People get paid every month. So there's this mismatch between when monies come in and is earned by government versus how we have to spend our monies. So that is one of the reasons why I have always been one who have said that whilst we have to gazette that first quarter and produce those reports, we have not done enough public education around the fact that is fool's gold, as it were. We now are going to have 9 months of deficits that we need to hope that surplus can support and last. So think of it like that. You made the money, it's in the bank. Now you need to ensure that you don't get reckless for those other 9 months. Because you can't now look at that and say, oh yes, let's go out and have a big party and let's go and spend loads and loads of money.
Yeah.
We know the lean months are coming. And Sandra, one of the things that I'm going to also get the team to give you is the graphic, the historic graphic, so that you can actually show that as part of this interview as well. That's going to be critically important for the public to actually see it, see the numbers. These are the actual audited results that I'll be able to give you.
Yes.
But getting back to the big picture,
Yes.
we were projecting that at this point, and this was through May, by the way. So these results, because we went in June, so we obviously were on June 30th, so I couldn't give June results.
Right.
But through May, we were projecting that we would have earned $1,257,768,000. Our actuals, sorry, that would have been the projected revenue for the entire year. I'm sorry. What we've actually achieved, we've now increased our projections because the revenues have been so strong. We're now projecting that we're going to earn $1,287,605,000 for the year. So we're $30 million up on where we thought we would be. That's given the fact that the immigration fee regime, which is mainly around the enhanced fees for permanent residency, that's the big change that we made. People said, look, we've been not charging enough for permanent residency. And so we've reacted to that.
Right.
Those didn't come into effect until May 1st. So we've only had 1 month of earnings for that.
Okay.
The new traffic fees, the differential fees between Caymanians and non-Caymanians for driver's licenses and the registration of vehicles have not come into force yet.
Right.
So this is why I feel so positive about this budget that I brought to Parliament last November, because once those fees kick in, we're going to make even more monies. And on top of that, I announced during the budget session last year that the new company fees were not going to come into effect for 2026 because big financial services firms start their billing from September, because some of them manage 60,000 companies.
Right.
You're not going to send those out all out December the 31st.
Yes.
So they start their billing for the next year in the last quarter of the preceding year. We are taking that bill to Parliament this September. They know it's coming. Everybody knows what the new fees are going to be. That is going to even enhance 2027 even more. So Sandra, not only is 2026 outperforming where we projected it would be, we now can know that there's net new revenues that are going to hit the bottom line next year in 2027 when we can get a full year of all of those fees. The other key driver, we're on pace to break stamp duty collections again this year. So we broke the record last year. When people saw that we were going to increase, and we announced that any transaction over $2 million would go from 7.5% to 10%, guess what happened in December? December was the biggest month on record for stamp duties because people said, oh, well, I'm going to close on a $2 million transaction. Let me get it in before December 31st so I can pay the 7.5%. So December was our best month in history. That best month was preceded by a strong economy anyway, so we set a record. We're on pace to set an even higher record this year, and it's principally driven by transactions over $2 million. So that again proves that it was the right policy decision. Sandra, anyone that can afford a property over $2 million, to have that one-time stamp duty go from 7.5% to 10% could afford that. That was a measured risk that the government took, but we felt it was a risk that was worth taking because guess what? Cayman Islands property has been one of the best investments for the last couple of decades. We don't charge property tax. Anyone who's investing in the country and acquiring those properties, the government just felt we were giving away too much revenue.
Yes. Let me ask you a question around that. So financial services fees and stamp duty fees, you both mentioned as outperforming projections. Again, stamp duty being driven largely by the transactions in excess of $2 million after the rate increase. But how sustainable do you think that reliance on high value transaction is? And do you believe, and I think you've sort of just answered the question already, that government is stress testing what happens if that segment of the market cools?
So that's an excellent question. We are monitoring that. We monitor that obviously every month. We get the reports in from Lands and Survey Department. We also are cognizant that Watermark and the Grand Hyatt are about to close. There isn't any other big project that you would say is well advanced, right? And GT1 just finished as well. So those three are going to drive us to an even higher record. So what we're doing is internally, we are looking at where the market is, getting average values of the other hidden high-end projects. What is happening is, unfortunately, this has become basically a double-edged sword. Property values have increased greatly in Cayman.
Right.
That has hurt the average Caymanian.
Right.
However, what we've seen is in that increase, projects that would never approach $2 million 10 years ago now are at that value. And so we believe the inventory that's there is significant enough for us to see this continue to hold. What do? We do things like not only look at the actuals, but we look at what's in the market. What are the cerebral listings above that value? And so that again gives us information around where the market is at. Now, if we see that start to shift and go downward, then we'll have to look at it again. But for right now, we feel confident that both those sectors are going to hold. So Sandra, if I just finish giving the overall picture.
Sure.
So the overall picture is not only are we up 30 million in revenue, but we have already said that through an 11.5 transaction, we've given up right around $8.5 to $10 million in revenue in the fuel and energy rebate policy. That should then say, well, how are you really maintaining the surplus? we have continued to pay very close attention to expenses. And right now, on the personnel front, we're looking to underspend in personnel. Why is that? The budget includes all of the approved positions. What inevitably happens around ministries is chief officers look on and then evaluate, when am I going to hire that person? Do I really need to onboard that person? And so our spend is mainly driven by vacancies that are in the system that we can say from going out to chief officers and seeing what their hiring plan looks like, we're going to have a significant amount of savings around personnel during this year. Now, one of the exercises we're doing internally is going across the service and saying to chief officers, be realistic about vacancies, but also be realistic about, are those your needs now? In other words, have a refresh of your priorities, and all of us are doing that. And so we'll be caucusing around that over the next month or so that ministers and chief officers can make sure that their teams are set to deliver on the policy priorities.
Yeah.
So overall, very strong income statement. I'm very, very proud of that. Our supplies and consumables are tracking to be exactly where they should be. And so when I look at where we are and what our updated forecast was, for us to have had the capacity to feel very, very confident that we're going to be right on target with our surplus, despite all of the additional expenditures that we've incurred, I feel very good. I feel extremely, extremely positive. Now, here's the other thing that's awful important. Included in our projections, we have already looked at things like NGS 55. That's the very popular item that gets beaten to death politically. It is how we, as government, fund healthcare from non-government suppliers. That's all NGS stands for, non-government suppliers. So a person gets referred overseas to Baptist Hospital. We're paying for a person who's medically indigent, a non-government supplier of health services on behalf of the public. We have already made some critical assumptions included in these projections. We're assuming that we're going to have to top up NGS 55 by 17 million. We're assuming we're going to have to top up HEA2 by some 12 million.
And what's HA?
That is how we then fund locally persons who are medically indigent.
Okay. So
Right.
if you have to use local providers.
Right. So we are already, we've been very conservative in these estimates. Also, a question you're going to come to is the additional monies that we're giving for seamen and persons who are on permanent or temporary financial assistance. You will see that the amount that the minister has requested is half of what we believe, he and his team and us believe he's going to need for the year. But we've already, in our projections, included what the total request will be. So we've been extremely, extremely conservative. We scoured the entire landscape around government and said, okay, where are we expenditure-wise in some traditionally high-spending areas? And then said, okay, we know that this is not going to be sustainable. We know during the second half of the year, the Minister of Health is going to come forward. We didn't know the exact number, but we made some assumptions along with her team around where we thought the number would wind up at December 31st.
Okay. And so these assumptions and projections and budgeting forecasts, this is how it's done.
That's right.
You speak with the relevant ministry and minister, and then you kind of figure out realistically what are you probably looking at versus what the ask is in the budget. And then that explains how the fluctuation happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's real life in a company.
Yeah.
Right? Picture a big company with a number of subsidiaries. When the CFO sits at the center and he goes out to each subsidiary and talks to the relevant CFO of that subsidiary entity, they're making assumptions around revenue, some assumptions around what the expenditures are going to look like, and then they come to a consensus agreement. What I can also tell you is that the assumptions that are made in here around land transfer, we went with the number that Lands and Survey gave us. Our internal number in the Ministry of Finance is actually higher. But again, we wanted to be conservative So we took the number from the actual technical experts and we used their number. But I feel pretty confident that we're actually going to beat their number, which means there's a good chance we would beat these projections. Now, I'm going to be cautious. We also know that the fuel relief program is only for 4 months at this stage. We have not to date made any assumptions around extending that. What I've said to the team is, let us get through September, which will give us 9 months of actuals. That will give us a better idea where stamp duty, et cetera, are going to be. And then we can make a more informed decision around what other reliefs we can give to the public. Also included in here is the foregone revenue that we believe government will lose because of increasing the allowable amount Caymanians can bring in duty-free. Because remember, a private member motion called for that to go from $500 to $800, and then we're doing $1,000 per person during summer, because that's when people go and shop for back to school and new clothes, etc. And we know people shop heavily at Christmas and fly in. And the other thing that's happening, Sandra, the reason that was so important, a new trend in Cayman is team shopping, right? So you know a cousin is going, you know a sister or brother is going to Miami, going to Tampa. People get on Amazon and be sending those people a lot of stuff getting delivered. The fact is, Sandra, whilst there's a balance to be struck, and I know one of the criticisms you get is, are we incentivizing people to not buy local? I really don't believe that we are, Sandra. What I think we're doing, I think we're putting in place a more realistic regime so people will actually be more truthful and honest when they're coming back. Let's face it, there are many, many, many Caymanians who do not declare. That has been a historic problem. And it's been one of those that it's like, government knows it, but then what is government going to do? Set up this whole army of customs officers who's going through everybody's suitcases, going through everybody's travel bags and digging through them and saying, okay, let's try and add up and tally up what we think you've brought back versus what you're telling us you've brought back. And then there's the whole debate around, well, what did you take out when you were leaving, and it's already used items. That's just unrealistic. We felt the number was unrealistic. We feel like this will bring more people on side so that we can actually track this better. Because right now, government really don't know how much revenue we lose because we don't know how much people don't report. We think that this will incentivize Caymanians to report more, which will give us better data. And I encourage the public, please report. Please report what your travel allowance is, because it really, really helps us in government, because it really gives us a much truer picture of how much spending is happening outside the economy.
Let me ask you a question about that as well, because a lot of people say, well, why don't they apply it to people who are ordering packages and have them brought in by boat or these freight forwarders or whatever? And I had to think about this, and I'm not sure that I'm aware of any jurisdiction that actually does it that way. You know, even if you travel to Jamaica, Jamaica gives you an allowance when you're traveling in on the airline and you're coming back in. Same thing with the US, right? So why, I mean, people, I guess it goes back to this concept of, you know, you want to just give everything away and, you know, and it doesn't make sense fiscally. But is there a way that you can explain to individuals who make that argument as to why they're not benefiting if they're not traveling off island?
So, Sandra, not surprising, we had a long debate in caucus about this, and there's positive and negative to each. The bottom line for us was, we did not feel comfortable that the amount of revenue that we would have to give up might just not wind up mushrooming into an amount that winds up unsustainable. And I know one thing about anything that you give away.
You gotta get it back.
Reversing course is never going to happen. So we, from my view, from my sort of advice, a lot of time people don't fully appreciate the advisory role that you as a minister has, especially Minister of Finance, right? So my advice to the caucus was, we can't measure it. If you can't measure it, don't try it. Right? We just can't measure it. So there's no way we can then open up a box that we truly can't have a reasonable estimate around.
And again, it's not something that we've ever done. And
I don't know of any country that does.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find any jurisdiction that actually does that.
Yeah.
So there's also that, because I think it just doesn't make any real sense when you look at the dollars and cents of it. Let's talk a little bit about the process and transparency coming out of this finance committee meeting. And by the way, how often do you have finance committee meetings?
So finance committee is completely discretionary to the Minister of Finance and his caucus.
Okay.
So as chairman of the finance committee, I call the committee.
Right.
So I can call the committee at any time,
Okay.
right? And the agenda is then set by us as a government as to what items we will consider.
Right.
What I've committed to colleagues is I want to have at least 3 to 4 finance committees per year. I really want to up my game and up the country's game in bringing more Section 12s, more Section 12s under the Public Management and Finance Act, which means you go to finance committee and get the authority versus doing it through cabinet. Now, let me give an example of one that was done through cabinet and why it was done through cabinet.
Yeah.
The fuel relief program. I did not have enough information in from a budget standpoint and from a request standpoint from colleagues to have called the finance committee and did that in public before we wanted to implement it. We felt it was extremely important to implement from 1st of June and get that relief into Caymanians' hands. And so we did that program via cabinet, via a section 11.5 of the Public Management and Finance Act, which is where I took a paper to cabinet and the cabinet accepted that paper and that gave us the legal authority to forego that revenue. Because a lot of people don't realize that. So we have to have legal authority to tax and impose fees. You have to have legal authority to spend. You actually have to have legal authority to give anything
Any sort of
back.
relief. Yeah.
I can't just wake up one morning as Minister of Finance and say, yep, I think it's a great idea to do X. There's a process.
Right.
That process that goes through cabinet via an 11.5 or through the entire finance committee goes through a section 12 of the Public Management and Finance Act.
Right.
So we felt I felt along with my colleagues, it was important for us to get to the public so the public would have a good, clear understanding of where we are. Not only, I want to discover one last point before we move on to more detailed questions. If you also look at table 1 of the actual forecast that I distributed to members, the compliance with the principles of responsible financial management. So we have a positive surplus, which I covered earlier. Our net worth has to be positive. We're projecting our net worth to be 2.6 billion as a government. Our borrowing, we're projecting that to be 6.4%. The legal limit right now is 10%. Our net debt should be no more than 80% of core government revenue. It's projected to be 21.7%. We need to have at least 90 days in reserves, cash reserves. We're projected to have 94.2 days. So we comply with all of our measures, given how strong the budget is currently performing. So again, great news for the country. Investors like to hear that. Outsiders like to hear that, but it's most important for us. This is how we manage to actually go and deliver quality education, deliver healthcare, deliver Siemens benefits, etc. So just wanted to make that point as well.
And we're going to come back to the fuel in a more detailed query in just a bit here. But let's talk about, the process and transparency, because as you briefly mentioned earlier, the opposition, and I think in particular the deputy leader of the opposition, asked for a financial snapshot before the meeting started and noted that the appropriations were only received the day before at 3 p.m. Why weren't members given the high-level financial position and the 6 FFR measures in advance rather than during the meeting?
Quite frankly, I didn't get them fully completed until the previous week, and I then wanted to have one last meeting internally in finance and distribute them afterwards. The truth is, storm in the teacup. None of this really for any experienced legislator was going to make a material difference in any event, right? But hey, it's a point, but I don't see it having any big negative effect on what a reasonable person is going to call openness and transparency.
Okay. Several ministers offered to provide written breakdowns after the fact rather than at the table. For example, there was a Central Scranton Park Furnishings, the Port Authority Land Purchases Locations, EAA 9 Historical Claims. Is there a plan to make more of this backup documentation available to members and the public before Finance Committee rather than after?
There certainly is, but it's only going to happen around areas that are not sensitive and would not put government at a disadvantage. What do I mean by that? Take the land purchases. Mm-hmm. If we tip our hand too much and you're in the middle of negotiations and you don't have a deal struck, guess what the other side might do? They might turn around and say, well, you know what? We were talking $2 million for that property. Government, you really want it? We're not going to accept any less than $3 million now. Now you might say, well, then government has to walk away, but you can't disclose a lot of information that could adversely impact the ongoing negotiations. That was the key reason why a lot of the details were not provided in terms of block and parcel numbers. What we will do and what we've committed to doing is that as soon as those acquisitions are made, we'll make them publicly known. They're also publicly known in any event because our land registry system is open. So you can go right now to Lands and Survey or go online if you have the subscription and you can look up any block and parcel and see who the owner is, the transaction history. A lot of people don't realize that, but our land registry system is transparent in a public system. Now, admittedly, it's better for us to provide the information because the public couldn't just go in randomly scour and figure out what's Crown property, right? So we will be providing that information. But no, where it's not going to adversely impact the end of negotiations going forward, I am going to say to the team, look, let's get some of this information out a little earlier because I don't want to have that, what I think is not a material criticism.
Even the perception.
But it gives a perception and then it gives something to argue about versus what's really, really important, which was what benefits these were bringing to the country. And real benefits were brought with this finance committee.
Let's talk about the Port Authority equity injection. So we have some questions around this. Why was the $8 million Port Authority request structured as a one-off equity injection rather than a loan, especially since a member noted that the Port Authority is a profitable entity?
So government has to decide how it wants to deal with all of its owned entities, right? We own the authorities, the Water Authority, the Port Authority, the Health Services Authority. We own Cayman Airways. We own Turtle Farm. We took the view that this is a long-term strategic investment for the country. Because it's a long-term strategic investment, we thought that the government centrally should be funding it. If we go back to how the Public Authorities Act is designed to work, technically, all authorities are supposed to be returning all cash other than what they need for operations to government. That's actually what the Act says. And I can tell you there's going to be some interesting news coming out about that very, very shortly because internally at the Ministry of Finance, when I first took office, one of the letters they brought for me to sign was a letter that we would distribute to all authorities saying, we're going to cover our eyes and not enforce that section of the law. That has been done for years. I take the view that the government's Ministry of Finance is supposed to ultimately be the central repository for excess cash of government and of our owned entities. Sandra, would be like CMR being a holding company and having the show. And let's just say you went out and opened up a restaurant and then you opened up a consultancy business. And you as the holding co saying, you know what, we're just going to leave all of our cash down at the operating company level and don't put it back up at the holding co. I take the view as Minister of Finance that we should be holding that money. And when a request like this comes in, this is exactly what we would do. We would either say, entity, you go borrow it from a bank, Government will centrally lend it to you, or government will give it to you as an equity investment. One of those three sort of ways. And so for us, we saw this as such a strategic investment by the authority that government should be the entity's parent company that's making that investment.
Okay. Right. And is there a risk that this becomes a default mechanism whenever an SAGC needs capital outside of its own budget?
No.
Or you assess everything given the specific circumstances?
That's right. So
case by case.
we're gonna do it case by case, and there'll be times where we might say to that SAGC, look, go get a loan, right? Go get a loan. Do a private placement either through a traditional borrowing or otherwise, and then repay it out of the positive cash flows that you're going to get. So it's all about balancing that up and deciding as government how we want to fund those activities. But excellent question.
Yes, I tried to do my homework on this one, Minister. So let's talk a little bit about airport authorities, the discussions there about the COVID era loan. Are you actively considering converting that loan into an equity injection or forgiving it, as was floated around at the Finance Committee meeting?
We certainly are. We're in active negotiations right now. So just by way of background, when COVID hit, the government at the time quite rightly decided that it wasn't going to send people home and not pay them. The economy would have collapsed. How were people going to survive? How were people who couldn't go to work going to pay their bills? How are you going to be able to afford groceries? How are you going to pay your car loan? How are you going to pay your property loan? So government made the decision, look, we're going to continue to pay our employees, but authorities were not getting any monies in. So no money was coming into Airports Authority. Airports Authority makes money when flights were coming in. We shut down the borders. That wasn't to any fault of the authority. That was a government policy. What the government at the time made a decision on was, well, we're going to give you this money, but we're going to loan it to you. And then they were repaying it out of their cash flows in the future. I take the view that given the fact that government made a policy decision to shut the borders down, we should not punish the Airports Authority now and say, oh, by the way, the then government's central government policy caused you to be in this position. Now we're going to give it to you we're going to continue treating it as a loan. And so we're going to convert that to an equity investment. And then that'll free up the cash flows, because the Airports Authority also has projects that it has to undertake to improve what is our window to the world, not only for returning residents, but for all of our visitors.
Very good. So, folks, we're learning a lot here this morning. If you're paying attention, you're learning a little bit about how government works, the relationship between government fiscally and the SAGCs, and how they actually get funded, at least in part, to the separate and apart from the money that they actually make on their own. So another one that was covered during the Finance Committee meeting is obviously Cayman Airways. We touched on this briefly one day during last week's show, and it always is one that gets a lot of public commentary. The fact that Cayman Airways was asking for $13 million, including $2.3 million attributed to revenue underperformance in Q1, despite the fact that the airline reported recording its best May in history. So how do you reconcile these two facts for the public in plain terms? So best, airline record in May, right? But you're still underperforming in Q1, so you need this additional injection. How does that happen?
Let me be very frank. Be very, very frank. And people say that when I'm in the chair in Finance Committee, I can't hide my emotion, my feelings.
Yeah.
Apparently it's all painted on my face.
Right.
This face is exactly how I felt when that comment was made. The bottom line is, a single month does not make a year.
And it doesn't make a quarter either.
It doesn't make a quarter either.
Right.
And so that was a very unhelpful comment that was interjected in the discussions. The fact is, they are not projecting to have record June, record July, record August, record September, record October, record November, and a record December. If they were, then we could rightfully say to them, yeah, you had a tough first quarter, but man, you're going to do so much better for the rest of the year that you don't really need to ask for that right this minute, right? Now, is there an argument to say that we could have made them wait a few months? Perhaps. I took the representation coming from their board as truthful and good, the best possible projections they could make. And their best possible projections said that they're going to need the funding and they're going to need the support. And so Cabinet, quite rightly then, approved it, right? I say to ministers all the time, messaging is so important. Don't say these small little comments that might sound positive when the overall picture is negative.
Right.
If it's negative, the public has the right to know. We are projecting that the airline is going to need additional help. We are projecting that fuel prices are not going to go down.
Right.
Fuel prices is one of the biggest reasons
Yep.
that it is underperforming. So whilst the revenues went up, what that statement that was made didn't encapsulate is that from April onward, fuel costs have been the highest they've been for the airline in decades. And therefore, whilst we were happy that they made more money, that didn't mean they made a profit. So it wasn't that they were all of a sudden heavily profitable in the month of May.
Right. And when you talk about the confusing messaging, because then we hear tourism saying, oh, you know, we're having the best year. Obviously, people are coming to the Cayman Islands. That helps the economy. Then there will be people who will say, well, shouldn't that be benefiting Cayman Airways as well? But they're not necessarily flying in on Cayman Airways.
That's the point.
There are other carriers
That's the point.
that are coming in.
That's the
and
point.
I'm glad you mentioned this fuel situation because we'll have some questions around CUC and the fuel relief program. But there, you know, I've been kind of reading some of the news reporting around this, and there's a number of airlines, even in the US, who are having such a difficult time with the increase in fuel that they are actually reducing their flights. Some are, if this lasts, you know, for a little while, they may be looking at a really, really poor financial position as private companies, potential restructuring or even bankruptcy for some entities as well. Okay, this is worldwide.
That's right.
Right? So not everybody is going to be able to survive
That's right.
the fuel situation as it is right now if it persists.
Yep.
Just continuing talking about Cayman Airways, the Cuba service down to roughly 24% load factor and now fully suspended. Fuel costs up 83% since the original budget. What is the airline's revised outlook for the remainder of the year? And should the public expect additional supplementary requests in September?
I don't know about September, but I certainly, as Minister of Finance, I'm not going to be surprised if we don't get additional requests, certainly before the end of the year. You've just laid the case. I don't need to repeat it.
Yeah.
Airline business is already tough. Globally, if we're seeing all airlines getting hit hard and struggling, Cayman Airways is not going to be immune from that. And so that's the bottom line picture that needs to be told to the public. The airline needs government support. It's a government-owned entity. It is the entity that we use to actually price regularize entry and exit from Cayman by way of flights. And a lot of people don't realize that, right? If you take Cayman Airways out of the mix, you could have the American, etc., really dictating, as they do in other Eastern Caribbean countries, the cost to get to your country. And so so Cayman Airways is not only a tool that we use to fly our brand and our brand Cayman and our version of Caymankind, but also under IATA rules, we are allowed to then use that as a vehicle to at least temper what sort of price increases could hit the actual marketplace.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I think a lot of people don't know that that is actually the case. So I hope that people paid very close attention to that and made note because it could be a very different landscape.
That's right.
If Cayman Airways, and again, it's not take out the pride factor of having our own airline as a small island nation, but controlling the pricing of access to this jurisdiction could be astronomical if Cayman Airways wasn't there.
And that's what happened in a lot of Eastern Caribbean islands about 2 decades ago, when I think it was PWIA, don't quote me, it was a regional airline that went under, and then American went in and basically had a monopoly in those islands, and people saw the increase then of the actual flights. So very important tool for us.
Yes. All right. One final question on Cayman Airways, and then we're going to move on. I appreciate you again taking this time. So, given the acknowledgement that transportation itself is essentially a loss leader for every airline in this market, is government reassessing what success looks like for Cayman Airways? For example, the loyalty program, credit card initiative, meant to become the airline's real profit drivers.
That is part of as I understand that the board is bringing to bear. But to your point, and I think this is just a critically important point, we see Cayman Airways as part of a very important national economic development tool. And so we just need to understand that as a country, we have to have a board and management that is going to manage and keep losses as low as possible. Make the airline efficient, make the critical decisions around HR that are going to be positive to the bottom line. And so that's all we can really do. And then it's the minister and his team to execute it.
All right, let's move on to financial assistance and social spending, another hot topic conversation anytime it comes up. So the financial assistance line is already projected to potentially double from 24 million to as much as 27 million or more for the year, with a program review that's due back in September. What specific policy or eligibility changes are under consideration that could explain the growth in demand?
Well, so the original appropriation, Sandra, is not going to double.
Okay.
So it would increase from 24 million to 27 million, but we already told the committee openly and transparently that 3.5 is actually going to be another 3.5. So
right. So that difference is going to be what's doubling.
Right. Not the entire appropriation. Yeah. There's a number of factors. One is the fact that we still are in a high cost era. Fuel is really pushing a lot of families. We weren't convinced that the fuel relief program alone was going to bring cost of living down so much that the growth in demand was not going to be there. The minister's review has already started with the Department of Financial Assistance, and some of the early work that they've done has indicated that we're going to need more monies. And so therefore he came in, quite rightly made the request. Sandra, I think one of the things that we have to be much more strategic about is how we assist people to get back on their feet and stay on their feet. Dependency is a heck of a thing.
Yes.
Dependency of any sort. And I can tell you that certainly from where I sit, we need to be incentivizing Caymanians to maximize their potential. The more you have a free system of giving, it's a very slippery slope, and it's a very dangerous trajectory. Now, one of the things that I understand that the minister is working on is actually giving more transparency around the 27 million. Because one of the questions I asked him was, how much of this is long term? How much of this is temporary? How much of this is rental assistance? How much of this is for persons who've just recently been unemployed? So I think there, and from what I can understand, he and his team are going to be working toward ensuring that the public really has a better understanding. And that is also going to help him as minister. That sort of data, and keeping that sort of data really, quite frankly, in the public domain. Because I think the public has, the public has a right to know exactly what is it that we're giving these monies away for.
Right. Yeah. And just flowing from that, I mean, really, perhaps you can't answer this next question, but it was certainly a thought that we had about clarifying whether the growth in financial assistance recipients reflects more people qualifying under existing rules or a genuine increase in the need driven by the cost of living. You can't say that probably without that additional data that you've just mentioned.
Right. And one of the things that I've also discussed at length with Minister Rankin is the fact that we need to, in the Ministry of Finance, make better use of the data. That's how that conversation with me, the two of us started, and with me saying to him, look, maybe you need to really ensure that going forward that we're really much more focused on what are the areas that we're funding versus overall funding. The answer to that would then give us much more clues around what's the real causation. Is the causation people who are habitually unemployed versus cost of living? Is the causation more around people with mental health issues and more people with mental health issues causing them to be unemployed and therefore having to be funded by government? Like, what are those root causes? That's important work for that ministry to do.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to land purchases and conservation. So there was this $21 million EA4 land purchase request, and it wasn't broken down by purpose. So, for example, we didn't know if it was housing, agriculture, airport expansion, or any of that in the public documents. With the minister citing sensitive negotiations, which you mentioned earlier, is a key consideration when it comes to land purchases. So talk more about government's broader policy for land purchase details. And I think you said this already, that essentially once the deal is finalized, it's at that point that it will be disclosed to the public.
Correct. You've hit the nail on the head. It's all about sensitivity of negotiations, not about not wanting to say it. We just wanted to ensure that government is in the best possible position to negotiate a fair deal. Negotiate a fair deal and not have to overpay for some of the key acquisitions we want to make. Some of those acquisitions are long-term acquisitions to ensure that we're preserving land that could be used for agriculture in the future. We know for decades we have built on some of our best agricultural land. That has just happened in that whole Savannah and Lower Valley area. Some of our best farmland is now housing developments. Once houses go in, that's it. You've lost it. And so this government has taken the view that we should be more aggressive around the crown, i.e. government, owning more property. We also believe that that's strategically important because we also know that there are persons who see Cayman as an attractive place and therefore they come and they buy property voluntarily from Caymanian landowners, right? So we need to just be more strategic. And so this is really about strategic long-term acquisitions and increasing the amount of lands that is actually owned by the people.
By the people, yep. And the $12 million Barkers and Owen Island conservation purchase. What is the timeline for finalizing government's demarcation and public access policies once that purchase is actually completed?
So it's a number of acquisitions. We know that Barkers has been a political football, and boy, don't I know it. Barkers is in West Bay North, the constituency in which I happen to run and represent now. We felt like Barkers is the last frontier of absolute pristine, accessible lands that tourists like to visit, and so we just looked on, and there came available a piece of land that is owned by a Caymanian family, a generational Caymanian family. Let me say that. The owners presently live in the United States, and I think they're on to 3 generations in the United States now. They had been approached over the past few years by 2 major developers to purchase the land. Developers wanted it because it has a 96-foot access to the North Sound, which means you could have done a canal front development on it. So when they approached government, and they've been very firm with this, they have said to the Minister of Lands and the Ministry of Lands, without clearly, we're selling this to government because we want it to be in the hands of the people of the Cayman Islands. They have moved away from Cayman for decades. Them and their families are not going to be moving back. Their children are now Americans and have been living in America for 40-something years. And so we're thankful that the family alerted us to it, because the fact is that land could have been sold and wound up being another development. And so we're using the Environmental Protection Fund because it is environmentally sensitive lands, right? It is swampland in Barkers that is going to get added to the Barkers National Park. Owen Island. Owen Island is owned by 3 entities, government and 2 private companies, or private families, I should say. I think they may be using companies just as the holding company for the land. We have for a long time, as Caymanians, thought that Owen Islands belong to the people. Yes, we have a piece of the island, but we don't own the rest of it. So again, we thought from an environmental standpoint, it was important for us to get that and conserve it. Now, usage around those. What we're going to do, just as they've done with Mastic Trail in the past and other areas, the area just behind UCCI, which is the Ironwood Forest, we're gonna engage the Department of Environment around what appropriate use would look like, and ensure that anything that happens is that they take the lead. Take, for example, the Ironwood Forest. That department, I was pleasantly surprised when I went and did a tour back a few months ago. They already have some proposed, what would be hiking, you would call it, type routes, because it's very rugged land back there. I was shocked at how much cliff rock is back there and that sort of thing. But again, we want to have ways in which the public can sensibly navigate it, just as they used to do the Mastic Trail. So it'll be that sort of similar concept. No commercial, big time, anything like that would happen on it. But you still do want to have it that the public can actually view and enjoy it. So that will come down to the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Environment, coming up with sensible land use proposals around those.
Okay, very good. All right, let's touch on 2 more things, and then I do want to also add in CUC and Water Authority, because they've been hot button topics recently. But the $5 million, this is illicit finance and the CFATF preparation, which is very important, obviously, for the Cayman Islands as a financial jurisdiction. But the $5 million FSC 39 request for the CFATF 5th round mutual evaluation preparation passed without no public discussion at all. Can we talk through what specific gaps in AML, CFT, and CFP capacity this funding is meant to close, and what the consequences would be if Cayman underperforms in that evaluation?
The 5th round evaluation is critically important, critically important to us. I just said financial services is driving the $30 million increase in revenue that we're projecting for 2026. Financial services is the backbone of our economy. We have to protect it, and we have to be active participants in all these evaluations. I can't speak directly to all of the risks that are present. Those would be more appropriately addressed by the Premier and Minister responsible for financial services. What I can say is the reason there was no debate around this is members clearly understand this is just necessary spending. This isn't something that we're going to pound up our gums about, oh, well, we don't need to do it. We have to do it. What was also very good and again has helped the fiscal position of government is that whilst this is coming out of operations, SEMA is actually going to be funding this and paying those monies over to CIG. So from a surplus deficit standpoint, it's going to be neutral. So we're getting the dividend in as income from SEMA, but the ministry is actually who has to spend this money on this evaluation.
I see. Okay. Again, that was explained earlier about how money flows from SAGCs into core finance in government. So very good to know. Uniform services, there was a fire service pay uplift addressed, which it says addressed a long-standing disparity with other uniform services. Are there any other uniform branches with a similar re-evaluation underway, or that, in your opinion, is long overdue?
So the minister is Minister DaCosta is very passionate about equity, as he should be. Let's be clear about it, as you should be. This has been a vexing and long-standing issue. Believe it or not, pay equity for fire officers was a hot debated topic with private members' motions being moved in my first term, the 2000 to 2005 term. Some work had been done, but there were some gaps in the work that was done. And so the minister quite rightly came to caucus and said, look, we've now finished the work. The government's budget is performing well. Can we ensure that we take care of these men and women who, quite frankly, have a dangerous job? Now, thank God, we don't have a lot of burning infernos in Cayman, etc. But the fact is, when it happens, someone has to be answer that call, and it's our fire officers.
And they respond to a lot more than just burning structures. They're in the scene of accidents.
That's right.
At the airport, the fire squadron. Yep, they're there for any sort of airport emergencies. So
So the minister is going across all of the uniformed services to ensure that any gaps that are identified, we can address them.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's talk briefly about CUC and Water Authority. I think Water Authority, we'll do the easy one first. There was obviously an increase permitted in their fee structure. And of course, the general public is thinking right now we're in, the world is in this war with the U.S. primarily, in this war with Iran. Fuel prices have skyrocketed. There's a bit of uncertainty about what the global economy is going to look like in the next perhaps 12 months plus. Is this a time to allow anybody to get an increase, whether it's CUC or Water Authority? Specific to Water Authority, what is your response to people who make the criticism that the government should not have permitted, since it owns the Water Authority, it should not have been permitted an increase?
So my response is twofold. We look at what the actual increase would be to the average consumer. The Water Authority did a wonderfully thorough review and financial analysis. The average household consumer bill is going to go up $2.68 per month. $2.68 per month. Now, the leader of the opposition got up and made hay of this and said, oh, well, that could be a gallon of milk, and that could be one less gallon of milk that person can't purchase.
Right.
The fact is, from where we sit, the 268 is extremely small, extremely low per person. But when you extrapolate that over the thousands of households that actually consume water, it was a material number to the authority. Right now, the public should be asking government, why did in 2024 the Water Authority lose money on its water operations? Lose money on its water operations. It's only profitable because of the revenues it's making, because we're allowing them right now to hold over $50 million in their bank accounts and they're investing it. That's how the Water Authority is right now remaining profitable. That's not sustainable.
Right.
That is not sustainable. And so for us, it was really about what was the average impact, right? And look, it's emotive. And so, of course, when the opposition gets up and said, oh, you're increasing cost of living, that gets people's attention. But I want the public to understand this government cares. If this was going to be a $50 increase per person, per household, of course, we would not have done it. But $2.68 we felt was immaterial. Coupled with that, OFREG or ERCO has just completed its negotiations after over a decade and finally got to the point of having a revised license in place for Cayman Water. As part of those negotiations, there's some relief coming because Cayman Water customers have historically paid more than Water Authority customers. And so that was something that we've said it publicly, but the public has never really paid a lot of attention to it. So West Bears were paying more for water for decades now. Decades we've been paying more for water. Is that fair? Is it fair that because one entity is controlled by government and government can use its long arm and say, nope, you're not increasing it, while the other has a license arrangement which allows it to be sustainable? Those license arrangements, Sandra, are critically important.
Yes.
It's important for our public utilities to reinvest and be modern and ensure that we got clean, potable water. Clean, potable water doesn't happen without a cost. And so for us, it was about how small an increase this was. And therefore, we looked on and we said, we need to get the Water Authority on the path to sustainability. We can't continue to have the Water Authority underperform when it's government that's doing it to it.
Right.
So here's the reality. We could have said, okay, Water Authority, no, don't get the increase. Where were the money going to come from? Was government then going to have to then do an equity investment? So here's the reality. One way or the other, the public's funds were going to go.
Right.
And so we thought that this was not disproportionate. We felt very, very certain that the numbers that were given to the ministry, and one of the things that has to happen before the Water Authority under their regime with ERCO, the Auditor General's office actually is who recalculates their calculation. Right? So they can't play games with those numbers and they be incorrect. So all of those are recalculated by the Office of the Auditor General. And once that process happened, the minister came to us and we said, Minister, we're going to support this because we have put off these increases for way too long, because every government can use any excuse all the time. And in prior years, the Water Authority simply wasn't allowed to increase. The fact is, it was also under their license allowed that they could have, I think, gotten a 15% increase versus the 3%.
Okay.
So they came to the table with a much lower ask than what their actual license allowed. Again, one could look on and say, yeah, but Minister, if you want them to be responsible, give them what they are allowed under their regime. So the minister was very, very, in my opinion, the minister was very, very reasonable, and the Water Authority was very, very reasonable in the ask.
And this falls under which ministry?
District Administration and Home Affairs.
So that's Minister DaCosta. Okay.
So again, the average increase per customer is $2.68 for residential customers. Here's the other thing that is the politics of this. Sandra, I can tell you so I served 12 terms. I was out for 12 terms, but I was still very actively involved with a lot of West Bayers.
12 years, not 12 terms.
12 years.
Yes.
12 years. And being back, so now this is a decade and a half. This is 20. From 2000, I started this journey, now we're in 2026.
Wow.
Sandra, I can tell you, in all those years, I don't get West Bayers or people from Cayman call me about their water bill. They call for assistance with their CUC bill. Now, this isn't about beating up on CUC.
Right.
This is about how does our family cost structure look.
Absolutely.
The average person's water bill is usually about $50 to $100.
It's pretty negligible, yeah.
Whereas your electricity bill is in the hundreds. So that's the other thing that this politics that the opposition is playing around it. They're playing politics around a bill that is usually relatively negligible. We have a very good water system across both entities, the public and the private, and I just don't believe $2.68 was the government being unreasonable.
And I think, too, the Water Authority is one of those SAGCs that you never hear any complaints about them in terms of even the operations. The
Very
staff
reliable.
seem very, very happy. They do their job and they seem to do it relatively well. So, there's something to certainly be said for that.
Yes.
So let's talk about CUC. This is July. And,
no pun intended, the hot topic.
Yes. It is literally hot out there, and every single summer, like clockwork, I'm always like, here we go again. Starts in May, gets hotter and hotter as we go through July, August, it's going to be even hotter, September, and everybody's posting on social media. They're upset about their CUC bill. The government has come up with this temporary relief on the fuel. Now, the first observation / question, I suppose, is the fuel relief, and I've seen people saying, oh, it's only, $13 or whatever. Let me just comprehend what that really is. So that is the actual fuel for the kilowatt usage that's the fuel duty that the government would have gotten.
So we're waiving two things.
Okay.
We're waiving the fuel duty.
Right.
That's the number that you hear is the 13 to 17, 15, 18, $20, relatively low.
Okay.
We're also capping the energy cost at 18 cents per kilowatt hour.
Yes.
Because there's a lag in the market. The kilowatt hours are now up to just over 19 cents. So in the first month, people are not going to see a big rebate.
It's actually gone up to 22 cents.
That's what it's going to get to. It's continuing to climb.
Yes.
Now is when you're going to start to see the real impact of that relief, because we projected that the duty, the fuel, the energy consumption directly related to fuel was going to continue to climb over the summer months.
Okay.
So it's July and August months that you're going to really see the benefit of that. So it's a two-part relief. It's not just the direct. So that was just 100%.
I'm glad you explained this, because I myself didn't get that point, right? But I did see something last night where CUC put up a notice to say the government is capping it at, I think it's 18 cents. Per kilowatt, but it's actually gone up to 22 cents already. So that is what they are paying for fuel, right? Which, let me remind our listeners, I keep saying it, the fuel charge that you see on your CUC bill, which right now it's like 50% of the bill.
Yes.
Right? That is a pass-through expense.
Yep.
That's not CUC paying one thing for fuel, marking it up, and then charging the consumer. Whatever they pay is what they pass on to the consumer. It's a cost of doing business.
Yes.
Okay.
And so a lot of people complained back in the day when CUC started, when CUC brought about transparency in their bill. CUC's bill used to be one line, and CUC used to pick up a lot of licks. And what CUC did couple of decades ago, I think it's been now, CUC said enough is enough. Let us actually show you, customer, exactly what your bill is comprised of. And so they put, and I can tell you at the time, there was a couple of people in government who were not happy when they put that line in
for fuel.
For the fuel. Because they were like, well, come on, CUC, you're exposing to the public exactly what they're paying. But CUC quite rightly said, look, we need to have real transparency around our bill. And so you're quite right. That one line item that is relatively low is the actual duty that they pay on the fuel they consume. That would have been coming directly to government in any event. So so government earns that. So government said, we're not going to earn that any longer. CUC, we're not going to
for this period of time.
For this period of time, our direct fuel duty. Then we said, CUC, you quite rightly started to measure how much of your bill is made up of the cost of fuel overall. Because remember, there's so if you're purchasing at, let's just say, $5 a gallon, and government is charging us 25 cents a gallon, then it's $5.25 in total. So we're taking the 25 cents off, but then that $5, that when you spread out how much gallons they actually use to actually power the actual island, we then said, fine, because you already monitor and know how much that is per kilowatt hour, and that's how you bill us, we would now cap it, and then anything above, government is going to give the relief. So very clean, very transparent.
Government is paying that back to CUC essentially.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So every month, and it's very clean and auditable. And the good thing was, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. This was done in 2023. So we're simply replicating what was done in 2023, given today's climate and conditions.
But that's important, because I think 99.9% of the people think the relief is just in that little, in the stamp duty. It's a two-part relief.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. That's why it's going to come up around $8.5, $10 million, once you include the sister islands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me, I'm still processing this, because it is such a surprise now that you have broken it down for us, and it makes a lot more sense. Is there any, we don't know what the next couple months might hold in terms of the fuel, but it doesn't matter what that goes up to, government is going to cover that difference?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is real risk around that 8.5 to 10 million. That could actually go up, right? That number could
depends on
balloon
what
up.
happens with the cost of fuel.
Hence the reason why we're being cautious.
Yes.
If there's anything the public will know, have known about me before in my political life, and how I execute my responsibility in this office. I do not like to take wild swings. That's when you get exposed and you get it wrong.
Yeah.
We're taking a measured approach because we don't know exactly how high it's going to go. And therefore, we just have to be cautiously optimistic that it will stay within what the market experts are predicting. And then we see where we get to. And then in October, we'll decide in September, we'll decide whether or not we're going to have to extend it further.
Right. And the other thing that surprised me about it was how little, and I know it's a cumulative situation, but how little government stamp duty actually is on your bill.
Yeah.
It's not really that much.
Yeah, the duty on fuel, that direct pass-through is very, very small. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's when that cost rises and it's above whatever CUC would have done internally to hedge, then that's when we really get impacted.
Yeah.
And look, it's the same story that came on areas you were talking about earlier. Everything that we're seeing and we're feeling impacted is around the whole war in Iran and what has happened with the cost of fossil fuels.
Yes. All right. Well, that's fantastic to know. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, just yesterday, we saw in the news that, or the day before, CUC was permitted to, which it's in their contract, I know, but they actually have their annual increase, and that's, people are saying, well, why didn't government stop that? Is government in a position to stop something that's contractually part of what?
No. The short answer is no.
Yeah.
What previous governments have managed to do is to get some deferral. So what happened in 2023 is that they deferred it and then were allowed to recapture it in over 12 months in 2024.
Okay.
The bottom line is conditions have changed tremendously for CUC.
Right.
So in speaking to CUC, what became evident to me is that there are a number of outstanding negotiation items that they have ongoing with ERCO. Those are items that they feel confident they should be able to charge and recover. So right now, they're almost like a receivable. They call it, I think, a regulatory asset. Those have been building. CUC has a credit rating. It's now down to, I think it's BBB. The last thing we want is for that regulated utility to fall to junk bond status, because then their cost of capital, as they have to continue to maintain their network, which is around $100 million a year. A lot of people don't realize that. US, they spend around $100 million to keep this network modern. Because remember, those lines, everything is out there exposed to the weather, etc., and they just wear out, right? There's high wear and tear around an electric utility.
Yeah.
And so, given the fact that they have, I think it's 2 or 3 items that are on the go with ERCO,
right?
They, from a financial position, couldn't put themselves in that position, is what the company has relayed to me. And I have no reason to not believe what they've said, because remember, it wouldn't have been asking for it as a waiver.
Yes.
Right. So they would have gotten the money back.
Yeah.
But they have to look internally at their cash flows. They have investors to answer to, and people don't realize this. And I can assure the public that entity is efficiently run. It's run by Caymanians.
Yes.
Its C-suite is all Caymanian except one person. Its senior management team, as I understand it, of about 18, are all Caymanian except 3 people. Show me where, in a very technical, the production of electricity is a highly technical area, right? The 2 of us can't just go and say, let's invest a couple $100 million. Let's open a power plant.
Exactly.
Right. This is a technical area, and I believe that they have been a very well run company.
Absolutely.
We have one of the most reliable networks
in the world.
But
definitely in the region as well. Yeah.
One of the most reliable.
Yeah.
There is a price for that reliability. There's a price for us not having, outages every day, half over here, half over there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
and they also give back to the community. I mean,
they're
listen,
extremely good corporate citizens, right?
good employer.
They're a wonderful employer. They're an investors and people employer. Now, having said all that, the one thing that I have had an initial discussion with them around was, depending on exactly what happens over the next 12 months, I will do everything I can from the ministry standpoint to ensure they get the issues with ERCO resolved. Because their point is, the quicker they can get those items resolved, they can then have a truthful picture that they can paint to shareholders. And if they then need to have to go on another capital raise, because remember, there's a 22 megawatt bid out now for solar. There's also going to be a 94 megawatt bid going out where the con is being developed. The RFP to the con, is being developed by ERCO right now. ERCO's at the tail end, I think, of getting that finalized in the next few months.
Okay.
That will then be an RFP that's going to be a mix of solar and traditional diesel generated power. That is going to be a significant investment that CUC has to make because our economy is growing. Where do you think that money is going to come from? They have to go back out to the market and raise money. The company has to maintain its credit rating, because if it doesn't, the cost of them raising that capital will get passed back on to us. So the higher interest rates that they have to make, because remember, they're a utility.
Yes.
They're the ones that's providing these lights and all of this sound and all of this AC for us. Here's my bottom line position on this. What has become very evident to me is that we need to ensure that how not just hurricane rated we create houses is important, but how efficient houses are. In talking to CUC around some of the more recent builds in Cayman, and some of the buildings that I have seen gone up in the last 10 years, and CUC reporting to us that when they get complaints, they go out and there's very little insulation.
They do an audit,
There's no insulation in roofs of buildings that's gone up in the last 10 years, Sandra.
Wow.
So what I think the government needs to do is, whilst that's going to increase the upfront cost, we need to be working collaboratively with planning and banks to say to the bank, look, increase this person's facility by $25,000, $30,000, so that they can spray foam their roof.
Yes, some of the basics,
So that they can get the highest rated SARE AC system. Do that as a mandatory add-on, so that people's CUC bills can come down hundreds of dollars. CUC gave me an example, and you've heard them talk about it. They've spoken about this publicly. About this one house where when they did the roof and sprayed in the roof, and when the AC's SARE system was enhanced, the person's bill went from $750 right down to just around $300. Do you know what $450 is per month? If we're going to talk about real cost of living impact, what the government has announced and we're committed to, we are going to be working with CUC with our most vulnerable families who we know can't now on the back end go in and increase their home, invest another $25,000, $30,000 in their home. If CIG steps in and does that firstly, our most vulnerable families, in particular those who are already getting assistance from the DFA for CUC bills. So to me, it's foolhardy for us to, I don't know the number, let's just say it's 100, 200, 300, whatever the amount of families are, that we right now are giving them monies because they've shown the case that they need it to pay CUC. Why should we continue to pay CUC hundreds of dollars a month for some families, when the real solution is, let's insulate their roof and let's get them the highest SARE AC system. Bring it down that they can afford it.
Yes.
We have to think strategically.
And that's the long-term fix.
That's right. That's right. There's no sense of us continuing to kick the can down the road, keep our families in vulnerable situations, have a cost of living crisis, and that crisis is around fuel. That's the biggest driver of our
Yes.
cost of living impacts right now.
Wow.
And so how we can support families, and so you see in speaking with them, they have tons of great data. They have tons of great data that they can share with government that will allow us to pinpoint homes that are vulnerable. And once we can pinpoint the home, find out what this family situation is. Now, some of it, if a family can afford it and they're simply being foolhardy, that's on them.
That's on them. Yeah.
That's on them.
Yeah.
But for families that are vulnerable, that we know are already getting other services from government, we need to target them first. And so this is going to be, I think, one of the first real national initiatives. A prior government did do some. It was called CHAIR. I think was the program.
It was a program, yes.
And that program proved positive.
Yes.
We need to now up our game and make that sort of investment. That's when we can really, really have that impact that we're looking to have.
Yeah. Wow. This has been an amazing interview, folks. The Minister of Finance and Economic Development. I've learned so much sitting here listening to this, and I trust that over the past hour and a half that all of you have as well. There was lots of takeaways here. And Minister, thank you so much for always being willing to, come directly to the people, explain things in common language so that we can all be, more informed. And I think really that's the overarching objective of the Ministry Matters segment. It's about that relationship, symbiotic relationship between the CMR family, which is all over, thousands of followers, and certain government ministers have come on board in a collaborative manner. So thank you so much. I must say that this has been very, very educational for me. Again, around a topic that a lot of us are kind of afraid of because we don't always quite understand what all these numbers mean and how the finance of the government works. So Minister, thank you very, very much. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And certainly, let me just echo what you said. I can tell the world, I believe and have always believed, my first term in government, the then Rooster talk show was the big thing. I went on there, and I'm not bragging, go back and check the record. I went on there more than any other minister in that administration. I believe that a key part of my role is to reach the public so that the public can know what we're doing, why we're doing it within my areas of responsibility. I take that very, very serious. And quite frankly, I understand that ensuring that we find access points, whether it's yourself, whether it's other persons who are out there in the media world, whether it's other radio stations, because remember, I go on all of them. But the fact is, you have built a platform, you have built a following, and therefore, one of the key things for us to do is find access points to the public. It's that simple. Gone are the days where you can take out a newspaper article, post a press release, and shoot it on the internet and say, ta-da, my job's done.
Right.
We got to meet people where they want to. The CMR family, as you call it, is a key audience in this country. And so I'm happy to participate in Ministry Matters. Others may look on jealously, but that's up to them. If they want to,
the option is there.
But here's the bottom line: build it so government can use it.
Yes,
that's the bottom line. You have built your following, and just like CNN has built the following, Fox has built the following, all those entities have built the following. That's why people then go on those shows, go on those networks, because they know that that's how they reach their people. I just want to thank our people, because Caymanians are resilient. I know that there are going to be brighter days ahead. This war will come to an end. We are going to be able to invest strategically in vulnerable families even more. We didn't even get to summer school, but we covered that the other day. That was in the
education
segment
and training.
That was a part of this ministry finance committee as well. So it's really about opening that window and being very transparent around what's happening in government. I want to thank the team in finance. They did a lot of work. Obviously, anytime I can get up and have, and the whole parliament can have our agenda and all of the appropriations clearly, succinctly laid out. A lot of work happens in the background. So I want to thank the financial secretary and the team in the Ministry of Finance. thank all public servants and all ministries who contributed to making the Finance Committee the success that it was. Thank all my colleagues, the Premier and all of my colleagues, because it's collaboratively that this comes together and we make our system work and be efficient, be open, be transparent. But I just want to wish all of your audience a blessed day, and certainly I look forward to cutting on when I come back, because my daughters and I go on our summer family leave. So I will be off island from July 13th to the 29th. Again, I believe in being transparent about that. And so we're going to have our little respite for the summer. And certainly I look forward to getting back home refreshed and ready, re-energized and ready to go.
Thank you so much, Minister. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.